Waiting. Stand up, New York Giant fans. Trying the StreamYards tonight. Never done that before on my channel, so hopefully it goes out well. But I figured I'd have OGR on and going to start doing this every Saturday night. Have a new guest on and talk to you guys, answer your guys' questions, talk New York Giants football, talk football in general. I'm going to have my mods put OGR's link in the chat so people can go and subscribe to him. So I'd appreciate that. But OGR, man, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for popping in the stream, my man.
I mean, I appreciate you having me. I mean, it's been phenomenal. We worked tonight. We were there last night. You want to work Sunday too? Jesus, it's been fun. It's been fun. So
yeah.
Not only Giants news, but we'll make it fun.
Well, that's what we try to do here. We try to talk to the chat, answer some questions, have fun, talk Giants football. That's what it's all about, baby. And thank you guys for being here. And Batgirl with the $2 donation, she says, stand up. Hello, boys. Batgirl, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a great supporter of the whole Giants YouTube community and just sports community in general. And thank you guys for being here. Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. What's going on, Adam?
I noticed Word said, what up, OGR? So what's going on, Word?
There you go. Word says, yeah, what's going on, Football Talk? What's going on, Raymond, AJ Marshall, AV Sports, Yuri in the chat, Andy Garcia, sports expert, Little Munchie. Thank you guys for being here. What's going on, Luis Bryan, Raymond Sosa, KP in the house, Nick DeWick, John Talento, Joe Wad. What's going on, my man, Mets fam? I try to get all the shout outs now before it gets somewhat crowded because people complain that I miss them. So let's shout everybody out now. Chris Sonor, Blue Jackets Talk, Canole. Thank you guys for being here. Lefty, King 26 Reyes. Thank you guys for being here. Zachary, Ryan. I hope everybody out there is having a good Saturday night. Alex Sports, what's going on? Football Talk, what's going on? Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
NFL DNA, what's going on? I'm doing fine, my friend. I'm doing fine.
What's going on, Mike S? What's going on, Quentin? Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Nash, Alex Gutierrez, Mets fam, Victor in the house, James Kent in the house. Thank you to everybody for being here. Hopefully everybody's staying safe out there, and hopefully everybody's having a good night. But OGR, man, figure we just have a nice, cool Saturday night. Talk Giants football.
Absolutely.
Talk sports in general, man. Whatever you want to talk about. But man, what do you want to talk about? I'm going to let you start the conversation, then we'll get to the chat. Let's talk some Giants football.
All right. Over under. When do you think the Giants are going to start either spring practice or training camp? Like, when do you think that's going to happen? If you think they're going to open it up, I want to get your opinion on that. And that's an interesting question. So
yeah, that's a great question. Matter of fact, I don't think that's really that. I don't think I've gotten that question yet on all these Q&As I've done. You know what? At the end of the day, it's going to depend on, first off, I think the Giants may still look to move out of state because obviously the New York, New Jersey area, there's a big issue with the whole virus thing going on. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But I think it's going to be pushed back, which makes me think that the season could potentially start later than proposed. Hopefully that's not the case. I still definitely think that we're going to play with empty stadiums, at least to start the season. But in terms of the training camp, I think it'll be pushed back at least a couple of weeks, OGR.
I think it's going to be out of state for the Giants. I really do. Somewhere where it's a little bit more free-flowing, like Florida, for instance, would probably not be a bad spot to go to. And there's plenty of stadiums that they could, college stadiums they could work in or work with. But yeah, absolutely. I do think it's going to be somewhat – I don't know if the season's going to start off late, but I think training camp will start off late. And I think they may end up even canceling some preseason games because it's really pointless to play those games, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Hopefully that's not the case, though. Hopefully it starts on time, but I think it will get – I don't know if the season will get pushed back, but I think training camp will at least get pushed back a little bit. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for popping in the stream, man. Sports Expert, man. Really appreciate that. He says, Tana and OGR, another great collab here. Where do you guys see Jamal Adams potentially being traded to other than the Cowboys? Ooh, okay. So, yeah, we've heard that. That's been rumored to the Cowboys for a while, OGR, that they've needed help at the safety position, which is why a lot of people had them mocked to take Xavier McKinney. But even last year, they were saying the Cowboys may be interested in him to bring Adams in at the safety position. Where else could you see Adams going? Now, of course, Adams is going to cost a lot of money to anybody that brings him in. The guy's due to make a big contract. That's why he's available in the first place. But what teams do you see being a potential fit outside of the Jets?
Honestly, I'm not too familiar with all the other safety situations, so I'm just going to use a blank statement here, guys. Don't kill me in the chat. Probably will get killed regardless. But all that being said, I could see somebody like maybe the Packers, a team that it's contender. Dare I say it, the Eagles. maybe somebody like the Titans. Like I'm just spitballing here. So I mean, honestly, I'm not familiar with all other safety situations, but yes, Dallas would seem like the most likeliest home out of all of them. I don't know. Raiders are too young or don't really need help there. So yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to say the Packers. My guess would be the Packers.
I'll say one, and I'm not 100% familiar with their team. One team that I thought about when he asked the question, how about the Colts? I know the Colts have a lot of cap space. They may need a playmaker. Yeah, I haven't heard them at all, but that's just the first team I thought of. They have a lot of cap space. It might need an extra playmaker on that defense. I suppose that's a possibility. It would have to be a team that definitely needs help in the secondary and a team that would have a lot of cap space. So the Colts, to me, was the first team that popped in my head. I'm not 100% sure how strong their secondary is. I'm a Giants fan, but I know, they have some weaknesses on that defense, and they have, I think, the most cap space in football. So maybe the Colts could make sense. Yeah. But Batgirl, thank you so much for the $5 list. I really appreciate it. He says, hi, OGR. I've heard Bad Dog and Tana's take on Colt McCoy. I'm curious, do you like him? He is a former Texas Longhorn, so I'm very excited to see him. OGR, let's get your take there.
So I say it, hook 'em horns? No, but all joking aside, Colt McCoy, it's fine. It's a veteran guy. Problem with him is he can't stay healthy. I prefer somebody behind Daniel Jones that can actually stay healthy, but I trust if, God forbid Daniel Jones goes down, I trust Colt to come in and be able to perform admirably, even under this system and whatnot. He's a constant professional, but the problem with Colt is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And when he's gotten a shot, again, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I do like Colt as a person, and I did love Colt at Texas, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, everything you hear about Colt McCoy is he was a great football player in college, a tough guy, and he's a guy that's going to bring experience to the QB room. That's why we're bringing him in. He's a backup, but I do like him, and he's going to bring a certain toughness, and definitely going to bring some experience in terms of the backup quarterback. I think it was a good pickup. He's not a guy that's going to threaten Daniel Jones, which you don't really want. You don't want added pressure on a quarterback who's already in New York to begin with, having to learn a new playbook, everything else. But I think he's a perfect backup. I think it was a really nice pickup by the Giants.
OGR, give me your opinion on who should the Pats quarterback, Jameer Smith or Jared Stidham. I'm going to go with Jared Stidham because I don't know a lot about Jameer Smith. I know, isn't that the guy you guys picked up as an undrafted free agent? So Jared Stidham being 1 year in the system, I would go with Jared Stidham. And plus, Jared Stidham right now, as far as, because I know Jared Stidham better, has more upside than what Jameer Smith might give.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see how that plays out in New England with Stidham. Because New England obviously had an opportunity to draft a quarterback this year. They could have elected to take a quarterback. They didn't do that. They had an opportunity to sign a quarterback. They haven't done that. So I think the Patriots are bought in on Stidham, and I'm excited to see what Belichick and the Patriots could get out of him. They've shown in the past the ability to get a lot out of mediocre quarterbacks. Not talking about Tom Brady, but obviously Garoppolo when he stepped in. So many guys, Castle. So I'm excited to see what they could get out of Stidham.
Harrison Valley, a good subscriber of mine. He says, "Sup, Tana OGR, awesome roundtable yesterday. I appreciate that."
Yeah, Harrison's a fantastic supporter of the entire, all the way from New Zealand, of the entire New York Giants community, man. Glad to see you in here. Glad to see everybody in here. Jersey Joey's in here. Nikki's in here. Isaiah says Giants making the – all right, let's talk about that. I get asked that all the time, OGR. Let's talk about the Giants' possibility of making the playoffs. What needs to happen? And I guess what number you would put on it in terms of a percentage for the Giants to make the playoffs this year?
This year, 30%.
Really? You're that high on it? You're that high on it?
I mean, 30% is really not that high. And I mean, obviously you have 70% fail factor.
Right, of course.
But for me, the Giants would have to go out and get surprise wins. Also, the Giants need to come together. And you're going to have a shortened offseason. You have a lot of moving parts. You're expecting – everybody wants DJ to make this giant jump, and so do I. But let's ease into it. We have a lot of moving parts. And everything would have to gel nicely, and you would have to upset some teams that maybe people don't expect us to upset. Like week 1, you want to start off hot, especially with our schedule. Was it Bad Dog who said week 6 through 10 gets pretty darn tough?
Yeah.
The Giants would have to probably start off 3-1 or 4-0. And not to mention, the Giants need to go probably about 4-2, 5-1, or 6-0 in the division because of how tough out of division the schedule is. Because I don't see us beating the Seahawks or the Baltimore Ravens or even Pittsburgh week 1, but they would need that game. the one game I think we can take out in the West that not a lot of people would probably give us right now, I picked the Rams. The Rams is the team I think we can beat, and not so much Arizona. I think Arizona's going to be the tougher opponent. I think we can actually go to LA and beat the Rams because I think the Rams are on a little bit of a downslide. But
that's an interesting take there. I agree with you on the Rams. I think that's a winnable game. I think our toughest games are the first 4 games, no doubt about it. The first 4 games, and then the last 5 games. I think the 6 games in the middle is actually our best chance to compile some wins because we play divisional opponents. But the first 4 or 5 games this year are brutal, and the last 5 games are brutal. And it's not going to be easy, especially coming out with a new playbook. But we'll see how it all plays out, man.
I mean, 9-7, 8-8 is good enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. I really do.
Well, especially with the extra playoff seed.
Yeah, exactly.
With the 7 teams. Oh my God, Asia, you don't. Oh, Asia, you don't have to. Thank you so much,
Asia.
She says, Chris, stand up, my sexy Dana. Can't wait for the season to start for our Giants. I hope this team could make a run at the playoffs and prove these haters wrong, like Stephen A. Smith. I don't know how you got OGR in here, but I'm glad you did. I'm still baffled why he's a Red Sox fan. Asia, you're incredible. You don't ever feel the need to have to do that. Thank you very much. Incredible.
Fantastic gesture, Asia. I mean, obviously he's at a loss for words, but for the most part, I think I've shown you the video. I do have a video on my channel somewhere in my playlist explaining how I am a Giants Red Sox fan. And I probably about 100 people left the chat after they found out I was a Red Sox fan. So
we've talked about that in the past, how you're a Red Sox fan, and I forgive you. I'm a Mets fan, so I don't hate you that much. If I was a Yankees fan, I probably wouldn't allow you on the channel. I'm just kidding. But as far as she says with the Stephen A. Smith thing, I mean, Stephen A. Smith, to me, I made a video on this. He's pure entertainment, OGR. He's a guy that goes on ESPN. He's going to say what he wants to say. I don't buy into anything that the guy says. I don't even think he's a real, now he says he's a Steeler fan. I've heard in the past that he's a Jets fan. He's there for entertainment. He's trying to play the villain to Max Kellerman.
Absolutely.
And he's hating on the Giants because he sees an opportunity to kick a team while they're down. That's all it is.
Absolutely. And I used to respect Stephen A. Smith when he was sitting across from Skip Bayless. It seems like once in a while they would have a really good debate and it'd be debate worthy. But ever since Skip Bayless left ESPN and went to Fox, that show has taken a dive. And it's just like, they're so desperate for ratings because the ratings took a plummet after Skip Bayless had left. They're just desperate. And it's like Stephen A. Smith's like, oh, let me act like Howard Stern. Let me act like this shot jock. Oh, this team's not going to do it. This. It's like ridiculous. I can't take him seriously. He's a joke. Everybody at ESPN's a joke.
Well, it's because of people like on ESPN is why people come to YouTube for sports coverage, because they want to hear real fans talk about the team. I mean, that's the truth. People wouldn't be watching our video.
Real fans do a better job than ESPN ever could. I mean, the only thing ESPN has over us is bells and whistles, commercials. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. And Batgirl, thank you so much for the love. Tana, you need to be seated before Pizzle, not after, so that you don't have to wait 30 minutes to respond at the round table. Fun chat to watch. Yeah, that was definitely a challenge last night. That was absolutely a huge challenge last night, sitting behind Pizzle. But you know what you're going to get when Pizzle comes on. Pizzle's an entertainer. And he definitely was a hard guy to sit behind on the panel. Because I forgot what the topic was half the time because he rambled on for 20 minutes. But Pizzle did a great job last night.
Victor Pagan's booger eater. He's not a big fan of me.
Oh, that's. I'm sorry to hear that, Victor, man. But thank you for popping in, guys. But OGR is a great guy. Isaiah says, "Do you guys think that Ryan Conley will play this year?" Ooh, that's a great question. Now, the reports I've heard on Ryan Conley is supposedly he's healthy. We'll have to wait and see. I thought they were going to have to wait a little longer, OGR, to see if he was going to play this year. But it's been positive, the things they've said about Conley. I'm still not fully bought into him, like I was telling Bangle in my video today, in terms of being a guy that I could trust as the starter for the next 5 years. But he definitely showed glimpses last year, I think, of at least a guy that we have to give an opportunity and see what he has.
Yeah, I agree. And me, I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm rooting for him to succeed. From a Wisconsin prospect coming off an ACL injury. Let's see what he's got. But I mean, his play was definitely impressive for the couple games he had a chance to display. You know, that interception against the Redskins last year wasn't too bad either.
Yeah, no, I definitely like him, and hopefully he could take that step forward. And he's probably, a better fit than Mayo. Mayo to me is more of a downhill linebacker. He's not a guy that's going to really drop back in coverage. Conley displayed he was a little bit better than that, so hopefully he gets an opportunity. Oh man, Darian, man, thanks so much for that, man. I really appreciate that. He says, I am a Giants, Red Sox, and Lakers fan, so I feel you, OGR. Can you see any of our undrafted wide receivers getting 700 plus yards? I'll let you start with that one, OGR.
For that to happen, obviously somebody's gonna have to blow us away in training camp and really, catch fire in that offense. And then they're gonna need somebody in front of them to go down, where they're gonna need somebody to step up. And it's at that point, which undrafted free agent wide receiver? I mean, right now, because I know him the best, I would have to say Benjamin Victor, but the guy from whatchamacallit, the Canadian, Canada.
Recent John. John.
But right now, I'm going to have to give it to Benjamin Victor. But I know a lot of Giants fans aren't really high on Benjamin Victor because of his his skinny stature and the fact that he's not the most he's athletic, but he's not the most built guy, put it this way, and he could be easily bossed around. So he's definitely going to have to put on some muscle before Giants training camp.
Yeah, what I'll say about that is, I mean, first off, don't rule anybody out when it comes to undrafted free agents. Giants fans should know that better than anybody at the wide receiver position. Victor Cruz, probably the greatest season ever by a New York Giants wide receiver. But here's what I'll say. If we have an undrafted free agent this year, eclipse 700 yards, that would mean that we had injuries because we've already got 3 guys ahead in the pecking order, which when healthy, and that's a huge if, the New York Giants have some solid receivers. I'm not saying elite, but, Shepard is a good wide receiver. I know your feelings on Darius Slayton, and Golden Tate is proven to be a solid wide receiver in this league. So the only way that happens is if we have a lot of injuries, and hopefully we don't. But I'm with you actually. I agree with you that if I'm going to pick one, I think he's going to make the team. So I'm with you, the kid from Ohio State. I'm with you on that one. But I don't.
Which one? Mac or Victor?
Victor. Most people say Mac. I like Victor because of his height. 6'4". I think he had 20 touchdowns and not that many touches well at Ohio State. I think he has the best chance to make the roster and make an impact this year. I could be wrong, but I'm in agreement with you on that one, actually. I know a lot of people are not, but I am. But I honestly don't see any of them unless we have a lot of injuries, and that would not be good if we did eclipsing 700 yards this year.
Larry J. and then Bad Dogs came in here, and he's spinning on his chair with the Wii.
Oh, all right. Sacred Dust, man. Thanks so much for that, man. He says, sup, guys? Thoughts on Blake Martinez as a Giant? That's a good question. Yeah, I made a video today. OGR, I think you got a chance to see it. I thought you commented, maybe not. But I talked about Blake Martinez. I talked about players.
The defensive video today, yes.
Yeah, the defensive video. I talked about players that I think could flourish this year for the New York Giants, and I mentioned Martinez. I'm not saying Martinez is the most versatile guy in the world, but Martinez has had success with Patrick Graham, and he picked to come here. He wanted to come here, I think, due in large part to Patrick Graham and Joe Judge, and he thought that he'd fit the scheme, being that they're going to ask him to be more aggressive. I like Blake Martinez. I'm not saying he's going to be an elite linebacker, but you know what? When's the last time we had an adequate middle linebacker? It's been forever.
Exactly. I think the last adequate middle linebacker was Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
And he was borderline Pro Bowler at that point. But toward the end of it, well, at that point, he's still at the end of his career, but you saw the plays he made in the middle. But I agree with you, everything you said, as far as Blake Martinez goes. I think he's just going to come on here, be solid. I think he's definitely going to be better than Alec Ogletree ever was.
Well, he can't be worse. Alec Ogletree was complete trash. And Larry J, man, thanks so much for that, man. He says, in my opinion, when the time the Giants start to become a well-oiled machine, it will be when we are in the challenging late part of the season, especially after this lockdown. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith is playing a character. Yeah, Larry, I mean, I think everybody agrees on that with Stephen A. Smith. But, yeah, I mean, if you're being rational, OGR, and anything's possible. It's football. We come out, we could shock people out of the gate. But if you look at the schedule, if you factor in the challenges for this New York Giants football team coming in, if we're going to be fair, it's probably going to take a little bit of time for this team to really get used to one another, get used to the systems, and they play a tough schedule coming out. I think this team, much like 2018, is going to be a lot better in the second half, but they still play tough teams. But if they could ever start out good, then they're dangerous. Maybe they could do something in terms of the playoffs. But I'm with you on that, Larry J. I think it's going to take a little time, maybe half a year, to really see this team's full potential going forward in the 2021 season.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know?
Oh, Jersey Joe loves my bald spot or balding spot. Check out that $20 donation.
Oh man, Jersey Joey, great supporter of my channel, man. Thank you so much for being here. He says, dramatic pause. I got nothing, but you guys are great. Thanks for the content and your dedication. OGR needs a hat. Chris needs hot coffee. And I need a fatty. Stay well, my friends. Be safe. Jersey Joey, man. Thanks so much for love. I'm trying to keep my coffee as warm as possible. I got the Rolling Stones mug. Jersey Joey, great supporter of the channel. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to everybody for being here. And anybody that is not subscribed to OGR Sports, if one of my subscribers could put his link in the chat, really appreciate that. I see Bad Dog's in here. I was able to pop in for a couple minutes, but I was busy eating a late dinner before the stream. So I saw he was had the premiere tonight. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Giants Alliance in the chat. Love him. He came on the channel. He said, Victor is good. I agree. He went undrafted because his slight build and lack of great speed. Yeah, and that's a great point he brings up. And not to mention, if there was ever going to be a draft, OGR, where a good wide receiver or a very good wide receiver went undrafted, it would be this one. I mean, this draft was loaded with wide receiver talent.
Absolutely. It was, and this would probably be, again, I mean, kind of just going to line up with what you have to say, which we agree a ton. Yeah, the undrafted free agent would be, this is where you're going to find one. In this wide receiver draft, because of the amount of wide receivers in this draft was crazy.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised we honestly, even 5th, 6th, 7th round, I'm surprised we didn't go with at least one.
Yeah, I was a little surprised myself. You know, I thought in the 6th round, you know, the 5th, the 6th, I thought they would take a wide receiver. The only rational thinking for me there is Joe Judge was looking to fill out special teams. He was trying to find special teamers and depth, you know, in terms of the linebacking core. But all those guys he drafted, I like Cam Brown. I know you do too. You're a Penn State guy. But I don't know if I don't think he's going to have an immediate impact on this defense. I think maybe down the road, I think he contributes as a special teamer.
I think he does too as well. I like Cam Brown, but definitely he's going to be a special teamer to start off. Yeah. Because I just don't see where he fits in right at this juncture.
Yeah. I like Coughlin. I like Coughlin. I think Carter Coughlin might be able to carve out a niche early on this year, but outside of that, I think most of those guys are contributors on special teams. I was a little bit surprised, but maybe it was because they knew all these guys were going to go undrafted, and they knew that that they'd be able to find a diamond in the rough in terms of the wide receiver core. You know, that might have been the reasoning. And Batgirl, thank you so much for love. She has thoughts on Eli if he had gone to the Chargers. Ooh, and Batgirl, thank you for the donation. Here's what I'll say about Eli. Listen, I love Eli. Eli's my guy. You know, I'm probably gonna make that top 10 Giants video that OGR made. And I think Heartstorm Media originally proposed that. But Eli's my favorite Giant of all time. I never hide that. Listen, at the end of the day, I would have been happy for Eli Manning had he gone to a situation where he felt like he could win and compete. I don't know if the Chargers were that destination. The Colts could have been, had it not been for Phillip Rivers, maybe the Bears, something like that. I was thinking midseason. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that Eli retired. I think it's the best for both Eli. I think it's the best for the Giants because it's very rare, OGR. You look at some of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived, not many of them retire with the team they started with. Joe Montana, Tom Brady now, Brett Favre. It is very rare that a guy...
Could be Aaron Rodgers. I don't see Aaron Rodgers being a Packer for much longer either.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. So it's rare that you get to play your entire career for an organization that you started with. And Eli Manning could say he did that, and he's the greatest quarterback ever in the history of the New York Giants, one of the best 5, 6, 7 franchises in NFL history. So he could hang his hat on that, and I was glad that he retired as a Giant.
I'm glad he did too. And going to the Chargers, if the Chargers never make that trade, they never get Sean Merriman, and they don't have, lights out dance. I don't think, and do they have the same personnel to go and make those playoff pushes that they made earlier in the career with Phillip Rivers before Eli Manning had a chance to do it with the Giants? I don't know if they do that with Eli Manning. Not to mention, does Eli Manning even have the same career if he's a Charger?
That too. Here's what I've always said about that, and I see a couple more donations. Thank you guys so much. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to continue this conversation with OGR. I've always said if Eli Manning ended up with the Chargers and Phillip Rivers ended up with the Giants, I would have been very interested to see how that played out because I think Eli Manning's statistics are actually better getting to play in San Diego with the nice weather. I thought that they had a better supporting cast, Rivers, I never thought had the arm strength to make it in New York with the windy conditions. And I think the Giants knew that. I think that's why they were all in on Eli. I don't know if Eli wins any Super Bowls with the Chargers. We'll never know that. But one thing I will say, the Chargers had more talent than the New York Giants ever had with some of those teams with Phillip Rivers. Did I lose you, OGR? I don't hear you.
No. I muted my mic. I had to talk to my wife real quick, so I just muted my mic.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
I just want to get to Benjamin. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. Eli is 2-0 against Brady in the Super Bowl and 1-0 on Twitter. Yes, I got to see that tweet today. That was pretty funny. Tom Brady went at Eli, and I almost made a video on that. That was pretty funny today. I'll probably post that in my community notes so people could see it. But yeah, that was you saw that, OGR?
Somebody asked me to check it out. I didn't get a chance to, but it sounds funny though. I will say that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Tom Brady went at him, and Eli definitely retaliated. And Joseph Clark with the $2 donation, he says, need a physical number 2 to Saquon. Gore would have been perfect. Gore was a sneaky pickup by the New York Jets. Now I know the guy's playing in a wheelchair at this point, but Frank Gore wouldn't have been a bad pickup by the New York Jets.
That's what I love about Frank Gore. He's still productive, constant professional. And what it probably, you know what, even though he's not the flashiest guy all time, just keeps going. I mean, he was even productive with the Bills.
He's kind of like, Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin, just every year you knew you were going to get. Curtis Martin was better, I think, at his best.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Gore's damn good. I mean, I think he's second or third all time in rushing yards just because he's been able to play at a high level for so long. But yeah, I mean, he's incredible, and I think that was a good pickup by the Jets. I think he'll help that out as the backup running back behind Le'Veon Bell, and that's a good point. A guy that we didn't even think about. Frank Gore would have been a nice pickup by the Giants in free agency to be that backup running back.
I'm honestly, when I think back to it now, Dion Lewis was actually just a real surprise for me. Now I know the familiarity with Joe Judge, but why? It just seems like the Giants need a bruiser. We have guys that can catch the ball in the backfield, and that's what you're going to bring Dion Lewis in here for, is to be the third down back. And he's going to be a good third down back, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we need that. I think we need that hammer.
Yeah.
I don't think we have it on the roster right now.
That's why I was so in love with Dillon, the running back out of Boston College, which of course the Packers drafted 3 rounds too early. But yeah, I wanted that thumper as well. I like Dion Lewis. Like you said, due to the familiarity. But he's not really the type of running back that I was looking for. I'm in complete agreement with you. But hopefully brings some leadership. We'll have to wait and see. And maybe Gallman wakes up and gets his bearings and does a good job for the New York Giants. A guy that we all liked in his rookie season.
Yeah, I still like him now. I mean, I just don't think they gave the ball enough to him, and they actually just didn't give enough to the running backs, period, under Pat Shurmur, and that was my biggest gripe. And when they did give the ball to Saquon, he wasn't healthy, so it's just like, I mean, this year was a mess. But
yeah.
I would carry on. I can carry on all day.
And just so everybody knows, OGR is here. If somebody in the chat could drop his link, I appreciate it. Go over there, check him out. I'm going to be doing this every Saturday. I'm going to have a new, different YouTuber on. I want to give everybody an opportunity, and I just think it's going to be fun to be able to conversate with another great YouTuber, talk sports, and kind of feed off your guys' questions. So I think it's always fun when you have 2 people on. Makes for a better show.
And it makes it a lot easier, and sometimes that person can catch stuff that maybe you wouldn't catch on your own. So
exactly. And Sam the Man, $2 says, thoughts on Eli Manning now being on Twitter? Yeah, you know what? I mean, his career is over. He's a guy that did a great job while he was with the New York Giants, staying out of the limelight, kind of like what Derek Jeter did with the New York Yankees. And you know what? At this point, he's having fun. He's getting to talk to the fans, the people that he loves, the people that supported him throughout his entire career. I think it's awesome. And I'm going to reach out to Eli, and I'm going to get him on the show one day. No, I'm dreaming about that, but that would be amazing. But yeah, I'm happy about that. I mean, it's cool. I'm happy. What are you drinking there?
Corona.
Oh, that's fitting.
And my bottle opener.
And Batgirl says, how was that guy Phil Simms versus Eli? In terms of Phil, I mean, Phil Simms won 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants, one as a starter. But I mean, I didn't get to see him in his prime. I got to see him at the end of his career when I was a kid. But yeah, Phil Simms is the second greatest quarterback in Giants history. Some older,
was the first before Eli came. So
yeah, he was the first before Eli came. And some older Giants fans have gotten into debates with me saying he's the greatest Giants quarterback in Giants history. That I don't agree with, but definitely a great quarterback, a borderline Hall of Famer. OGR, I think you probably agree with that.
I actually don't think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Actually, no? If you go back and look at the numbers, no, he's not a borderline Hall of Famer.
Not even close.
If he won one more Super Bowl, maybe.
Well, what if he doesn't go down and Hostetler doesn't win that second Super Bowl?
Yes, then possibly.
Yeah. 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 And Recon
Because
Dog, man.
he would be the only other, because right now, if Eli doesn't go in, I think there's only one other quarterback that's not in with 2 Super Bowls. I think every multi-winning Super Bowl quarterback's in there. I think there's only one other quarterback that has 2 Super Bowls that's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I think it might be Jim Plunkett. I could be wrong on that, though.
No, I think he's the only one. I think you're right. I think Plunkett's the only one. Recon Dog with the $2 donation. He says, killing it, guys. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for being such a great supporter of the channel. And Asia, she says, Sexy Dana, OGR, Bad Dog, Gangrene David, all in the same stream. My life is complete. By the way, how is Bad Dog not? Asia, right now I'm not giving out any mods tonight because, I mean, I've explained the mod thing, but yeah. It ruined the experience for everybody else. So I kind of cleared the mods. I'm giving out like 1 a month going forward because it just got out of control. And I had people blocking people from my channel. They couldn't comment on my videos. They couldn't comment on the live streams. So I've only got like
mods have that much power.
Yep. I had like 400 people blocked from my live streams. Couldn't comment on my videos. So that's why there's no. Yeah, I think I got 5 mods right now, just because you need them in case you have a stream that gets really big and sometimes people come in and say things that they shouldn't say. But I'm going to give them out very sparingly going forward, but no offense to anybody in the chat. And what's going on, Muhammad? Thanks for popping in the stream. Let's see what we got here. Thoughts on Fackrell? Rob asks, I think he can be what Golden was last year. I'm going to let you start with that one.
I certainly think he can. I mean, he's shown it in the Packers system. He showed it under why am I drawing a blank on our defensive coordinator right now? Patrick Graham. There we go. He's shown it under Patrick Graham. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I think he's actually more of a well-rounded player than Marcus Golden is. I think Marcus Golden's a better pass rusher, but I think that Kyler Fackrell is a better all-around player. So I agree with that totally, because I don't actually think that we're going to have one player leading us in sacks. I think it's going to be more of the Patriot way where you have a multitude of guys. And the guy I really want to see us step up is O'Shane Jimenez, but that's kind of off topic.
Yeah, not really that off topic. They play the same position, but yeah, I like Fackrell. I don't, like you said, I don't expect 10 sacks, 10.5 sacks like he had a couple of years ago. I think you're going to see they're going to blitz from all over the field. You're going to see everybody blitz, whether it's Martinez, whether it's Darnay Holmes, whether it's Jimenez, whoever. You're going to see the safeties blitz. The Giants are going to send different looks at the quarterback each and every time. And I think it's going to be, sack by team. I don't know the right term to come up with, but I don't think you're going to have any 10, 11, 12 sack guys on this team. I think they're going to send looks from all over. But I do agree that Fackrell is a more well-rounded player. I definitely think Marcus Golden's a better pure pass rusher, but Fackrell has graded out decent in coverage. That's something that we know that Marcus Golden certainly struggles with. So I think that's why they brought Fackrell in. They thought he fit the system better, even though they may be bringing Golden back to at least be a situational pass rusher.
According to whatchamacallit, I'm about to be drunk halfway through the stream, but I'm pretty sure we're already halfway through.
What's going on, Rondre? Thanks for popping in the stream. Can Jimenez get the same amount of sacks as OCU Minora? Yuri says, what do you mean, for a career? I don't
career or one season.
Yeah, I don't know OC's sack numbers off the top of my head in terms of a career. How many did he have? He probably had close to 100.
OCU Minora sack total. Let's see if it even catches it. I hate my friggin' phone. But I'm just gonna go look it up real quick.
That's all right. But I mean, it's way too early to project Jimenez. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I try to. I always try. I don't want to be negative. I like to be as optimistic as possible because I know Giants fans want that. But one thing even though I'm a fan of Jimenez, I've said I think there's a decent chance he leads the team in sacks this year. I don't like to set expectations way too high, way too early. And a guy with Jimenez, where I think people are kind of falling into the trap that they did with Lorenzo Carter last year. And now all Giants fans are so down on Lorenzo Carter. I'm kind of buying Carter low. I'm saying I think he could break out this year with this system. But I like Jimenez, but I don't even want to compare him to OCU Minora right now. I know that there's a similarity in the sense that they both went to a small school. Neither one was a first-round pick, but I kind of want to pump the brakes a little bit and let's see him get some results before we start comparing.
Actually, I want you to take a guess on OC's career sack total because I think it actually might surprise you.
I said probably right around 100.
Lower.
85?
Right on the head. Right there.
85, yeah.
85 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6 in one game. I mean, OCU Minora was definitely good at getting after the quarterback, no doubt about it.
It's kind of funny when he actually went down with that knee injury. I actually wanted to trade him. Like I wanted to get rid of him. Yeah, because at that point I think his career was over, and it pretty much was.
Yeah, it was.
Jones or Nagano, who would win in a fight? Jones. Jones a better. a better fighter. I mean, Ngannou has to get a lucky punch to win that, even though I love Francis Ngannou.
And Caesar, man, thanks so much for the love, man. Which rookie will surprise us on the New York Giants this year? All right, I'm not going to go with any of the undrafted guys. The thing is,
Carter Coughlin.
I that's probably who I would say as well, because I some of the guys I don't think Lemieux's going to get to play much unless he wins the center position, and maybe he will. I don't think Parrott's going to get to play much, and I don't think Zimenez or Thomas would surprise you. So I think it leaves you with a guy like Carter Coughlin or Darnay Holmes, perhaps. But I'm with you. If I got to pick one that's going to surprise us greatly, I think I'd go with Carter Coughlin as well. I could see him getting 5 or 6 sacks in this defense.
Absolutely. I think so too. And I think he's the type of guy that, because honestly, I love PJ Fleck at Minnesota, head coach. I love him. What he did against the Penn State Nittany Lions, even though we lost that game, just impressed me. That team just went out and played hard. And one of the guys I was advocating for was Antoine Winfield Jr., but obviously we didn't get him. But, I'm happy with Xavier McKinney. So.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of McKinney. Larry, man, thanks so much for the love. Once a Giant, always a Giant, only a Giant. Eli's Twitter profile. I'm originally from Mississippi and an Ole Miss fan. Being an Eli fan was like a chapter of my life, but I agree with OGR on his Hall of Fame status. I think he was talking about I don't think he was talking about Eli. He was talking about Phil Simms.
I was talking about Phil Simms.
Yeah, I think you'd agree with me on Eli. I think he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Oh, absolutely Hall of Famer. And I mean, you don't have to go very far on my channel. One of the opening videos on my channel is me Strong Opinion Sports, rebutting Strong Opinion Sports when he tried to say that. And then right after I did, I'm not saying I did it because he probably got a lot of hate, but I'm saying once I rebut him, the next day his tune changed. Just saying.
I get the argument for Eli due to the fact that he doesn't have gaudy statistics, even though he ranks in the top 10 in both yards and touchdowns, but he doesn't have great individual seasons outside of 1 or 2 years. But at the end of the day, like so many people have said, you can't tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning. And he's as clutch as they come. So I think he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he'll get in. But thank you to everybody.
AJ Marshall wants to know what my Big Ten team is. Penn State. I'm going to guess, AJ Marshall, you are an Ohio State fan. I'm going to guess it right now because most Big Ten fans are.
And there's a lot. You're right. That's a great point you bring up. A lot of my subscribers are Ohio State fans. It's a great point you bring up.
Most popular team in college, I would have to say. It's very underrated because when NCAA was on the console and before they got rid of it, which was probably the best football game on the console, to be totally honest with you, they would rank they'd ask you to pick your team, and Ohio State would lead year after year after year after year. It's ridiculous how many Ohio State. Everybody thinks like Bama,
Notre Dame, maybe
Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Interesting. Asia, thank you so much for the $5 I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. She says, Chris, was you alive when the Mets won in 1986? I was asking SNY was showing the 86 series. I was 1 year old, so I don't count that, Asia. I didn't really get to experience it. My best Met experience was losing in the 2000 World Series to the Yankees, losing in the 2015 World Series to the Kansas City Royals. That's about it. That's the closest.
I have an interesting question, kind of real quick off topic, but kind of still on topic. It's still sports related. What do you think about the whole Mike Piazza, Roger Clemens thing in the actual World Series?
Oh, God, don't even get me started with that. I think I'm going to tell you what, OGR, I know Yankee fans might not want to hear this. First off, Roger Clemens was juiced up on steroids at that point in time. He clearly had roid rage to throw a splintered bat at Piazza after he did that. I do not know how, and I recognize the game it was. It was the World Series. But based on the history, based on the Clemens, I think everybody would agree with this. Pretty much intentionally threw at Piazza's head earlier in the season, and then he throws a splintered bat at Mike Piazza. He should have been ejected from the game. I thought it was a joke that he wasn't. I recognize that it was a World Series game, but he should have been thrown out of that game.
I felt the same way. But, hey, there's a little bit of bias, me being a Boston Red Sox fan.
Yeah. And Asia, thank you. Oh, man, thank you so much. She says, Chris, next time get Gangrene David on. I would love to see the Giants and Jet fans go at each other. I have a guest lined up already for next week, but I definitely will have Gangrene on in the near future.
Can you spoil the guest for next week, or do you want it to be a surprise?
Yeah, I'm still working. I mean, I'm talking to him. It's a smaller YouTuber, but I'm trying to get him some exposure. So, yeah, I'm planning on having him on Saturday. But yeah, I'll let it be a little bit of a surprise.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna have some smaller YouTubers, hopefully some bigger YouTubers. Ed Oliver I'm working on as well. A lot of my subscribers have asked me to have him on, so I'm gonna have a lot of
good dude. I love Ed Oliver.
Yeah.
Definitely love Ed Oliver.
I'm gonna have a lot of different people on. And David Biago, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate it. He says, hope all is well, guys. Favorite acquisition this offseason, including both free agency and draft picks. Mine is Xavier McKinney. Okay, let's talk about it. I'll start on this one. All right,
can we pick one free agency, one draft, or do we just have to go one or the other?
He asked for just one, including both, but I'll do both. One, including both. And I know it's not the sexy pick. I know everybody's going to say Xavier McKinney, and I completely get it. And I'm in love with Xavier McKinney. He fits our defense. We needed a playmaker. I was so infatuated with getting an offensive lineman, getting that left tackle the next 15 years. Andrew Thomas, far and away, is my favorite acquisition this offseason. I like some of the free agent picks. Obviously, if I'm going to pick one, I'll go with James Bradbury because I think we desperately needed a cornerback, especially one with experience. But, yeah, I mean, I got to go Andrew Thomas. I love the big fella. I also love Matt Parrott. I thought he was a great pickup as well. But I thought the Giants this year needed to address that offensive line, and I was thrilled when they did it.
I really wish I could, rebut you there, but I can't because I totally agree. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I was all about fixing that offensive line. I wanted the Hogs. OGR, you know that I wanted the Hogs.
Oh, yes. And I wanted the Hogs. So we're in lockstep as usual.
Oh, man, Butcher's Block, man. What's going on, Bobby? Thank you so much for love, man. I appreciate it. He says, I'm a Patriot fan, and even I'm saying Eli's a Hall of Famer. He beat the Pats twice and beat the 18-0 Patriots. Those two wins alone should get him in cheers. Listen, at the end of the day, the method in which he did it, the 2 game-winning drives against the greatest team in the history of football, and that's what the Patriots are. Had they won that game and gotten to 19-0, Eli Manning that day didn't make himself a Hall of Famer, but the fact that he did it again in the method in which he did it, going on the road, carrying a team who had the worst ranked running offense in football that year and the 26th or 27th ranked overall defense in the regular season, Eli Manning that year cemented his, in my opinion, bus, if you will, into Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, there's nothing to really disagree there.
Yeah. And Kelly, man, thanks so much for love. He says, what's up, guys? Most underrated player on the team. I think Fackrell can be a great addition to the defense in the scheme. I'll let you start there. Who do you think is the most underrated and maybe guy being slept on either side of the ball for the New York Giants?
Either side of the ball for the New York Giants. It's really hard for me to pick one, and I'll tell you why. Because they picked these guys because of versatility and the fact that most of these coaches know who they are. They've played with them before. So an underrated guy would be like, hey, a guy that we didn't expect that hasn't played with most of these coaches. But we didn't really get that. Everyone we picked in the draft, versatility. Everyone that we picked up in free agency, versatility. It's really hard for me to be like underrated guy that's going to show out or something like that. Honestly, it's the fact that this coaching staff has a vision, and I'm hoping their vision comes to fruition. So.
Yeah. Listen, the answer I'm going to give, a lot of people are going to say, what? Because I've given this answer before. I've been asked this question before. When you say underrated, now I recognize it was a bad trade. I've been on record as saying that. I didn't like the trade. I didn't like it that we franchise tagged them. But I think a lot of New York Giants fans, in my opinion, don't appreciate what Leonard Williams could bring to the New York Giants. So, in my opinion, I think Leonard Williams will have an impact on this New York Giants defense. And I'm not saying by all New York Giants fans, but I think there's a portion of New York Giants fans that underrate the impact that Leonard Williams could have on the New York Giants defense. So
and I'm actually going to add on to that. I'm going to add on to that real quick. A lot of New York Giants fans don't understand the 3-4 scheme. They don't. They look at Leonard Williams and they say, oh, he needs to have all these sacks. No, he doesn't. Yeah. There's a video on YouTube. Bill Cowher breaks down the 3-4 scheme. I suggest each and everybody, after we're done talking here, go watch that video if you want to have a better understanding of the 3-4 scheme. He breaks it down. These guys, the 3-4 defensive ends, and in the middle, these guys, their job is not to get pressure. Their job is to occupy the offensive line while the linebackers, the playmaking linebackers behind them, go in, get the sack, tackle the running back, whatever it is. Their job is to occupy space. I'm not saying that they can't get a sack or whatnot, but that is their job on most in the base 3-4 scheme. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you. And Brandon, man, thanks so much for love. Stand up for $1,000. Can you guys beat Daniel Jones in a race?
Hell no.
Yeah, I'm gonna come right out of the gate and say absolutely not. He ran like a 4. Didn't he run like a 4.64 or something like that?
Yeah. I'm lucky if I clock under 6. Put it that way.
There is no way I'm beating Daniel Jones in any kind of race. He's got underrated athleticism. And Benjamin, man, thanks so much for love. Out of the 04 quarterback class, who is a Hall of Famer? Personally, I was going to say, I think all three get in. I think all three get in. And I think you can make cases for, I mean, obviously most people are going to say Ben Roethlisberger is the best because of the way he ended his career. He had a strong career. But I think you could at least debate that Ben Roethlisberger had by far the best support system. They consistently had a top 5 or 6 offensive line his entire career. They had a great defense his entire career. He had sustainability in terms of having a head coach his entire career for the most. With that being said, I think Ben had the best support system, but I still got to say Ben, due to the fact that he finished strong, is probably the number one, when you factor in that he has the hardware. But you can make cases for each one of the 3 individuals, but I think all 3 of them, OGR, are getting into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, quarterback class of all time.
Yeah. I wouldn't go the best, but it's second. I think 84 is I would say is the best.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about 84.
Yeah, I would say 84 is the best. And Gordon, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate it. It says, Chris, our talent improvements should get us 1 to 2 more wins next year, but I think our coaching staff will get us 2 to 3 more wins. What do you guys think? So he's saying 4 wins last year. I think our talent improvement gets us 1 or 2 more wins, and our coaching gets us 2 or 3. So he's saying around 8 wins probably. And it's possible.
I think 8 wins, 9 wins is the ceiling. So I hear what he's saying, though. You want to be an optimistic Giants fan. I get it. But
let's go, man.
We've said it. We've said it all. I've said it all along. You've said it all along. 7 to 9. I mean, we've been right lockstep with there.
6 to 10, 7 to 9. Yeah, that's where I am. And I agree with that. I think that the talent is definitely a game or 2 improvement. And if the coaching is better, maybe they add 2 or 3 more wins. But the thing that and I love Gordon. The thing that Gordon is not taking into account in that comment. Look at the Giants' schedule last year. Look at the schedule this year. Last year they played the Jets. They played the Dolphins. They played, in my opinion, a more favorable schedule. This year, they're playing a tougher schedule, so that also has to be factored in. I'm projecting them for 6 wins, but I think with an average schedule, they're a 7 or 8 win team. I think they're playing a very challenging schedule this year.
Yeah, I agree. And real quick in the chat, a bunch of people have asked, hey, OGR, who's your basketball team? I'm a Celtics fan. I'm a very casual Celtics fan. But I do know Chris's favorite Celtic this year, Taco Fall.
That guy's crazy, Taco Falls. That guy's crazy. And fix the D-line, O-line with the final line. Say the Giants are down in a game. Who is going to timeouts, Garrett or Judge? I mean, I would imagine it's Judge. He's the head coach. Now, Garrett's going to call the plays, just like Graham's going to call the plays on defense, or at least that's the way it seems. Judge is kind of going to oversee everything, but I think Judge is definitely going to be in control of the clock management, which I think is going to be one of the most noticeable things. I've said that a lot, OGR. I think that's going to be one of the most noticeable things noticeable things, I should say, that we're gonna see as Giants fans this year. I think the handling of the timeouts late in games. This is just my assumption based on the things you hear about Joe Judge. He's attention to detail. Pat Shurmur was awful in that aspect. I think.
Remind me, please don't remind me.
I think that Judge will be much better with usage of timeouts and clock management late in games.
I agree 100%. And honestly, it's going to be a breath of fresh air having somebody who doesn't just concentrate on one side of the ball or the other, just a guy who's used to seeing both sides of the ball and getting his personnel in the correct position. So I'm really looking forward to Joe Judge and at the end of the games and the way he manages it.
Yeah, absolutely. Asia, thanks so much for love. She says, this is for OGR. Do you like basketball too? And if yes, who is your team? I think you already answered that, right? With the Celtics.
I answered the Celtics. If anybody wants to know, my college team is UConn men's team. I could care less about the women, though they're very
they run women's basketball. UConn.
Oh yeah.
They do. And Benjamin,
not so much anymore. Not over the last 4 or 5 years. Like they've been competitive. They're good, and they're right there. But as far as winning championships, they're not what they once were, which I actually like because that's the only thing. That's the one problem with women's sports I really do have is you get that one team that just dominates and it just year after year after year, and it bores the hell out of me.
Yeah, and I never thought we'd be talking women's college basketball on the stream, but the one thing with UConn that I always wanted to see, and there were rumors with it, Gino Auriemma, the head coach of the UConn Huskies, I always wanted to see how he would coach in the NBA. And there were a lot of NBA teams that were at least flirting with the idea. I thought that would have always been interesting to see if his coaching could have translated from the women's college basketball to the NBA. But
I say no.
Yeah,
I think he'd be similar to a Rick Pitino.
Yeah, that's the last time we'll talk about women's college basketball on the stream. I promise. But and Benjamin with the $5 donation, he says, OGR's a Celtics fans. Oh no, we can't be friends. Chris and I prefer the Lakers. I am not a Lakers fan, but in terms of the Celtics or the Lakers, yeah, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm gonna pick the Lakers over the Celtics, but I'm not a big fan of.
And I'd pick the Lakers. Well, actually, I can't even pick the Lakers over the Knicks.
And Bobby, man, thanks so much for love, man. Smarter decision making and leadership equals more wins. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bobby would know that better than anybody as a Patriot fan. I mean, they get more out of their talent than any team in the sport.
Absolutely, and they never have the best roster. Even when they went 18-0, were they really the best roster? I get they were the best complement of players, the most disciplined. And each guy did their job the best, but even then, I don't think they were the best roster in football.
Yeah, no, I completely. They've really never had the best roster. Maybe outside that one season, but they're usually in the middle of the road and they get the most out of it. Charlie, man, thanks so much for love. Great idea, OGR, for Florida training camp. DeAndre can't leave Florida. Perfect.
Well, actually, hey. He did approach the judge. He's trying to be be able to travel and work.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I do, from what I heard, he actually is allowed to come to New Jersey for training camp if the Giants do play. But it was a good joke. It made me laugh. And King Reyes with the $5 donation. Giants, Yankees, Celtics, Bruins. The life of someone from Connecticut.
Yep.
There you go. There's
and at one point the Boston Whalers, or Hartford Whalers.
Hartford Whalers. I remember that logo back in the day. And Al Bats, Al, man, hope you're doing well there, man, in Texas, man. Thank you so much for popping in, man. Thank you for showing love. He says, hope you're doing well, but I'm doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully everybody is doing well, obviously, with everything's going on right now. Hope everybody's being safe. Thank you to everybody for coming here, hanging out with us tonight, talking sports. Thank you to OGR for coming on. He's doing a great job. And I love doing this. I'm going to try to have a different guest on every week because a lot of you guys requested that. I think it makes it more entertaining to go back and forth with your guys' questions. So OGR is doing a great job. I'm having a blast tonight.
And by the way, Asia says, so OGR, Giants, Red Sox, Celtics. He might as well just root for a whole Boston franchise. Calm down. Although I do like, and the funny thing is, I actually like the city of Boston better than New York. Like, Boston to me is cleaner. I like getting around in Boston. Not everybody does. I actually enjoy. If I had a choice of going to both cities are equal distance from me. If I had a choice to go to Boston for a day or New York for a day, Boston all the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you don't like the congestion of the city. I get that.
And Boston, and to me, Boston's just a lot less congested.
You know, there's a New York Giants channel.
I do get it. I do love the Giants. Don't get me wrong. The Giants are my favorite team of all time. They always will be, and I will always support them over any other team. You know, if you're like, hey, Jeff, I have some New York Giants tickets. I have some Red Sox tickets. Which ones would you like? Give me the New York Giants tickets all day. I mean, come on now.
And Brandon, man, thanks so much for love, man. He says, I would love for the Giants to re-sign Dalvin Tomlinson. He's been durable, and his game has improved every year. What do you guys think? Brandon, great question. To me, and I'll start to let OGR, play off of it. To me, it's going to come down to Leonard Williams or Dalvin Tomlinson. I don't think they're going to be able to keep both. When you look at their cap space next year, they don't have a ton, especially with the way that they reconfigured those contracts. And you can't pay two defensive tackles top tier money. And if Dalvin Tomlinson has a good year this year, which I think he will, he's playing on a strong defensive line. And I think he's expendable. And I like Dalvin Tomlinson. He was like my favorite player on the defense last year. But if Leonard Williams comes back, you still have BJ Hill. They're strong at that area. I don't see the Giants bringing him back if Leo Williams is in the long-term plans.
I don't think Leo Williams is in the long-term plans. He already is not happy with the whole contract because he wants to be paid like a defensive end, not like a defensive tackle. And it sounds like the Giants are going to pay him like a defensive tackle, which to me, that's where he fits anyways. I actually think he'd be a better fit in a 4-3 than he would with 3-4, but obviously he can play a multitude of positions. But for me, I think Dalvin Tomlinson's the long term, and I'd be disappointed if they didn't re-sign Dalvin.
Yeah, I'd be completely for keeping Dalvin and letting Leo go if that's what they decide to do. But I don't think they're keeping both.
Kamal wants to know OGR center. Who do I think will be center? Last night we had this question in the roundtable. A lot of the roundtable wanted Lemieux. I just went with a dark horse. I said Nick Gates. But I mean, I don't really care either way.
A lot of people seem to like Nick Gates. Asian, thank you so much for the $5 donation. So OGR is a Giants, Red Sox, and Celtics fan. He might as well. Oh, sure. Oh, you responded.
Yeah, I read that one.
Yeah. And misleading story, man. Thanks so much for popping in. OGR, I'm a Q's fan, so I'll say is 60 T's baby. But Kemba's hands down my favorite NBA player, so I'll give you that one. Kemba Walker was unbelievable. I remember the Big East tournament with Kemba.
I was
Walker.
at that tournament. I went the day after they had beat Pittsburgh on that game-winning shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was friends. Oh, he's talking about the 6 overtime game. I misread that. That was the Syracuse and the Big East.
Yeah, that
yeah.
game.
That game was ridiculous.
And I am so glad, as a UConn fan, I'm going to touch on this real quick. I am so glad that the UConn men are joining the Big East once again. Like, the Big East is trash without UConn. I am sorry, and UConn has been trash without the Big East. So I'm glad they're going back. Hopefully they. I think they still hold it at Madison Square Garden because I love the Big East tournament. And you can, if your team's eliminated and guys bought tickets for the whole week, it's really easy to pick up tickets. Sorry.
No. I just want to make sure I got to say goodnight to Bad Girl. Hope she's still in the chat. And thank you so much for being a great supporter of the channel, Bad Dog channels, every content creators channel that you show a lot of love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. But no, I'm completely with you. I've been to the Big East tournament a couple of times. It's one of my favorite sporting events. I love college basketball during the March Madness and the Big East tournament. College basketball is not the way it used to be, but I still love it. And Bobby, man, thanks so much for love. Come to the dark side, OGR. Join us.
Bobby, you couldn't pay me enough. Bobby, you could give me all of your subs and put me over 1,000 subscribers. I still wouldn't join the Patriots. Sorry, Bobby. I love you, and I'll collab with you anytime you want. But I'm never coming to the dark side. Ever.
And Gordon Gecko says, what NFL teams do you guys think are overrated?
Rams. Bears.
Are the Rams overrated at this point?
I guarantee there are still people that will pick Rams second in that division, and they are finishing dead last. Mark my words.
I probably agree with that. I think it's a battle between them and the Cardinals for dead last in that division. I'm thinking teams that I think most people have in the top 8 or 10 when I'm answering that question. I'm going with the Bucs. I think the Bucs are, a lot of people have them at 12 or 13 wins. I still think they could very well be a playoff team, but I'm not as high on them as most. So I'll go with the Bucs.
That division's tough. Like everybody underrates Atlanta. Like it wouldn't be shocked me if Atlanta comes out, and gets 10 wins. So that division's tough. So I don't see that happening. Overrated. Another underrated team I know we're saying overrated is Titans right off the top of my head. That is an extremely underrated team. But overrated. I really don't think there's really a huge overrated team. I really don't.
Yeah, I'll go with the Bucs. I'm sticking with it.
If I'm gonna agree, I am gonna agree, but yeah, the Bucs. I would have to say Bucs.
I'll go with the Bucs. And misleading story, man. Thanks so much for love. Cuse has been trash without the Big East as well. I miss those rivalries. They make college basketball way better. Oh, the old Big East was ridiculous. When you had Cuse, when you had Pitt, St. John. I'm a huge St. John's fan, so they're still in the Big East. But Villanova, Georgetown. I missed the old Big East. It was great.
Those games alone, Iverson versus Allen. Those were just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. Oh, God. Do you remember Khalid El-Amin?
Yep.
Yeah. That team used to piss me off. I was a St. John's fan. Ron Artest, Eric Barkley, they used to dominate us.
I'll tell you a quick story. It's very rare you go into an other team stadium. And you remember when the UConn played, I think St. John's in the championship, the Ron Artest team. We ended up winning.
Yes.
But were you there?
No, I watched it on TV. I watched it on TV.
I was actually there, and it was crazy to hear UConn fans were out cheering St. John's fans. That was like a home game for us. It was ridiculous. Wow. There was so much noise. There's so much. That's probably the best sporting event I've ever been to. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I love going to the Giants, but as far as the energy, the atmosphere, and just the game going back and forth, for me, that was one of the best games I've ever been to, period.
It's great stuff. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Bootsy Thornton. Yeah, vodka drinker. I remember Bootsy Thornton. You didn't
I remember Bootsy Thornton too.
Bootsy Thornton, LeVar Postel, Eric Barkley. That was a great team back then. But let's see. We got a question here. The Entertainer, what wide receiver besides Slayton, Shepard, and Tate has the best chance to break out? No one, if everybody stays healthy. Like somebody asked that earlier in the stream, which undrafted guy, which is basically asking the same question. But I'll go with Coleman, I guess. If not for one of those three, I think Coleman's next up on the depth chart. He still is a former first-round pick. maybe given the right opportunity, maybe he breaks out and has a decent year for the Giants if there's a couple of injuries. I'll pick Coleman, if not for one of the top three.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Coleman, even though we both said that the best wide receiver as far as undrafted free agents go would be Benjamin Victor.
Yeah, but I think Coleman's next up. Let's see what we got here. Would you go to the Garden if the Knicks were good? I've been to the Garden when the Knicks are bad. So yeah, I would certainly go if they were good. Yeah. Every time I've gone to a Knicks game over the last 15 years, they've been bad. So absolutely, I'd go if they were good.
Well, I do live in
Rudy T. What's going on, man?
New York Mets, New York Giants.
Rudy T said,
sounds like New Englander at heart. So yeah, I live in Connecticut. So yes.
Rudy T says, I never noticed that OGR looks like Gettleman. That's why I had him on the channel. That's why I had him on the channel.
Yeah. I'm Gettleman's twin.
Let's see what we got here. Latimer Latimer. We'll see how that plays out. Something that's a whole crazy situation in itself. OGR.
Yeah, I was actually shocked by that. Really, Latimer's been constant professional in this league, and then all of a sudden you hear getting into trouble. I just think a lot of these guys are just way too stir crazy. They're locked up in their house with COVID-19. They want to go out there and just have some fun. It's like, calm down, guys. Calm down.
Yeah. People are going crazy right now. What if we kept Odell? I get this question every single stream. What if we kept Odell Beckham? I've answered it several times. I'm going to let you answer it.
What if we kept Odell Beckham Jr.? We shouldn't have kept Odell Beckham Jr. Plain and simple. I can't stand the guy. I think he's demonstrably overrated, especially now. Honestly, since that ankle injury, what has he done? What has he done to make you think that he is the guy you saw in those first 3 seasons? Exactly. He's been nothing but an average wide receiver. Slayton as a rookie had almost as good as numbers as Odell Beckham. He had more touchdowns than Odell Beckham.
Yeah, double the amount of touchdowns.
Exactly. Like, everybody loves this Odell Beckham hype. This is not like, wow, my camera went real blurry there for a second. But since 2017 or actually 2016, really, what has Odell Beckham done? Nothing. So
yeah, I wouldn't go as far to say that he's average, but I definitely think he's not the way some people paint him. I don't think he's a top 2-3 wide receiver in the league anymore, and I don't think he has been since the injuries. And when you couple that with the fact that he was making as much as he was, and you couple that with the fact that he was an off-the-field distraction, I don't blame the Giants at all for trading him. So that's my answer to that.
Exactly. And he was a commodity the Giants didn't need. And the fact that Gettleman signed him, I'm disappointed. I would have let him walk. But hey, I am not an Odell Beckham Jr. fan, and I'm actually thinking about doing a Giants video where the Giants I like the least or something. I don't know how I'm going to title it, but I'm going to do a top 10 Giants that I'm either disappointed with or glad they're not on the team anymore or something like that. I'm simply a playoff of what I did the other day.
And Asia, thank you so much for. If DeAndre Baker gets off, will he still be a Giant? That's a great question. I'm gonna let you answer. I mean, I think he will be. I'll explain why after, but I'm gonna let OGR answer that first.
I think he will be. I mean, you're gonna be out money if he's innocent. If he's guilty, then yes, the Giants will cut him, and they'll probably try and get some of that money back. But for the most part, if he's innocent, why wouldn't he be a Giant at that point? Like, to me, it's just common sense. If you're innocent, you're a Giant. If you're guilty, you're not.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think he will remain a Giant. And some people will point to the fact that, well, the guy's still acting up. He's not showing up to the meetings and everything else, and he's a distraction. And that's true. I will say this: he'll be on thin ice, but the Giants would get absolutely destroyed by the press and by the fans if they cut him if he was ruled innocent. So if he's innocent, I think he's back with the New York Giants. I think I saw somebody in the chat, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm misinterpreting what they're saying. I think Tyreek said, how can you say that if you're a Giant fan? And I think he's referring to us, or, you saying what you said about Odell Beckham. At the end of the day, we're fans of the jersey. We're not fans of players.
Exactly.
And I think that I personally think, and I wouldn't go as far to say that he was average, but I personally think the Giants made the right decision trading away Odell Beckham. I thought that almost immediately after the trade. For the future of this franchise. That's just my opinion. I root for the team. I don't root for a player.
And for me, same thing. I root for the team. I don't root for a player. Also, after bad mouthing the fan base, and he bad mouthed you personally, if you want to believe it or not, the way he treated us, why would you still be a supporter of Odell Beckham Jr. at that point? Like it's crazy to me how many Giants fans love Odell Beckham Jr. And to me, I don't subscribe to once a Giant, always a Giant. I subscribe to if you're, a solid player, you treat the organization with respect and you were respectable when you were here, somebody like a Harry Carson, then yeah, great. But if you're going to be like OBJ and just disrespect everything and just be a clown when you're here, I'm sorry. I don't have respect for you, and I don't subscribe once a Giant, always a Giant. And maybe some Giants fans aren't going to like to hear that, but hey, what you get out of me is the truth, or what I think of. I'm a strong opinion Giants fan, and I'm not going to back away from that.
No. Let's see what we got here. Rams were also overrated when they were the greatest show on turf. I wouldn't say that. I mean, that they had probably the greatest offense in the history of football that first
They
year.
might have won that Super Bowl, not for a certain cheating scandal. That's all I'm saying.
Let's see what we got here. Thoughts on Tyler Haycraft? People barely mention him. Question for both. Thoughts. I don't even know much about him, to be completely
Neither
honest.
do I.
I've seen him asked that 100 times. That's why I addressed it. I don't know much about him. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't want to talk about OBJ that much on here because it's toxic. Because you have fans, you have Giants fans that are going to love OBJ until the end, and you're going to have fans that thought it was a good trade. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like politics. People are completely divided on the issue. There's no point in talking about it. He's not a New York Giant. He's not going to be a New York Giant for the rest of his career, more than likely, or at least for the foreseeable future. We moved on.
I just want to answer this real quick because I've seen this a couple times. How many TDs do I think Daniel Jones will throw? Less than 30. So I think it'll be high 20s, like 28, 29, 27, 26, somewhere around there. I think it'll be less than 30 because I think we're going to rely more on the run.
And fix the D-line, O-line. Thank you so much. It says, Andrew Thomas, seek respect, not attention. It lasts longer. Words that OBJ does not understand.
Correct.
And the other thing I'll say is this. OBJ, at the end of the day, said he wanted to leave. The guy said he wanted to play in L.A. He wanted the palm tree, but I'm done talking about OBJ. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something else. Let's see what we got here. What do you think RJ Barrett's ceiling is? I mean, I don't know. The guy's got to start hitting his free throws before I think he could be a superstar. The guy shoots like 60% from the line, so let him start knocking down some free throws. Let him get more proficient behind the arc. If he could do that, he could be a top 15 player in the league.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we got here. OBJ is good value in the trade. I think OBJ. I thought it was a good trade for us also, but you're always gonna have Giant fans no matter what think it was a horrible trade. And the way I break down the OB trade is this, OGR, and then I'm done talking about it for the rest of the stream. We got O'Shane Ximines, we got Dexter Lawrence, and we got Peppers, and it freed up $14 million in cap space. So essentially, you got Bradbury included in that. You got Bradbury, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got O'Shane Ximines, and you got Peppers. You got 4 pieces to your 11-man defense for Odell Beckham. That's the way I look at the trade. And
Miguel, I disagree. I disagree because the Giants in the 80s were a 3-4 scheme, and I don't agree on that at all. As far as 3-4 is stop the run and 4-3 was to stop the pass. No.
And I see Miguel's in the chat, man. I'm glad he's in here, man. Great subscriber. I see Stacks Montana's in the chat. Yeah, he's in my Discord, man. Glad to see him in here. And Larry J with the $2 donation. I'd rather ask, what if Victor Cruz never got hurt? If Victor Cruz never got hurt, I mean, yeah, it would have been it would have been fun. There's no doubt about it. He's one of my favorite Giants ever. And he kind of was it was too short-lived. You know, he had such potential. He broke onto the scene, OGR, and it was so short-lived, but but I will say it's incredibly memorable. He's definitely one of the greatest Giants ever. I mean, in terms of the impact he had for this franchise, he was as responsible for that Super Bowl as anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my favorite plays is that catch and throw against the Jets.
Yeah.
Return to the house.
Oh God, the 99 yards. Yeah. Entertainer, what can Sterling Shepard do to avoid concussions? At the end of the day, there's not much he can do. I mean, Sterling Shepard's a physical receiver. He's a guy that makes his living over the middle. That's just the nature of the beast. And if you're a player that's prone to having concussions, I don't know, OGR, what you can really do about that. It's a physical sport by nature.
And I always think when I hear about concussions, and especially with wide receivers, I always think back to Don Beebe.
Yeah.
And like the type of receiver he was, which plays a similar position like I got Victor Cruz in the mind now. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I used to love Don Beebe as a kid. I am in the chat to entertain Justin Roman. I try to see everybody. And you know what? Let's do the shout outs now. Justin Roman, thank you for popping in the stream. Kareem Wilson in the chat, sports expert in the house. Ryan in the chat. Bro in the chat. Last Jedi in the chat. If Ingram gets hurt or traded, how do you feel about Caden Smith? I like Caden Smith. Caden Smith last year showed a lot of chemistry with Daniel Jones. Yeah, I like Caden Smith. You know, do I know he could be a starting tight end for the next 10 years? No, but we'll see. I think he's definitely worth a shot if we do move on from Evan Ingram. Showed that he had a lot of chemistry with Daniel Jones. He's known to be a good blocker. So, yeah, I like Caden Smith.
Absolutely. I like Caden Smith too, and I think he's going to be the starting tight end over Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
And that's not a hot take.
And what's going on? Somebody said, what about me? What's going on, Joshua Smalls? Royal in the chat. Marjorie in the chat. Thank you. Midwest in the chat. Sports expert. Thank you. We were taught. Hey, I see. Thanks for answering. You got it, Kyle Smith. Let's see what we got here.
Hey, actually, you know what I want to say real quick?
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, if you were in a room with 279 people, could you say hi to all of them?
Well, I get criticized when I got 500 people in the chat, let alone 300.
Yeah. So, I understand we appreciate everybody here, but it is really hard to say hi to 279 people. Just saying.
Thank you for being here, though, guys. I do appreciate it. What's up, Tyler? Let's see what we got here. Top 10 least favorite Giants. I don't know if you're gonna be able to do that, but give your
that's the video I was talking about making. So yes.
All right, so we'll save that.
I could rattle off a bunch right now, but I'm gonna save it for the video.
All right, we'll save it. The president does it, and I am voting for entertaining in 2020. Josh says.
You definitely can write in, Chris. Very, very true. He could write you in.
Yeah. Who is your breakout receiver this year?
In the NFL or?
I mean, on the Giants, I think it has to be Slayton. I don't think Golden Tate's going to break out. Golden Tate's 31, 32 years old. Sterling Shepard's possible if he could stay healthy. I know that's Bad Dog's breakout guy. For me, it's Slayton. I think Slayton fits this offense perfectly. I don't think he was a great fit for the West Coast style offense. I think Slayton could have a Pro Bowl year this year. Slayton's my breakout receiver.
Yeah, Slayton's I think Slayton's everybody's breakout receiver this year because of his strong ending to last year. The Jets game, the Lions game come to mind. I absolutely think that Slayton could be the guy. I'm hoping he is because, hey, that's one less thing you have to worry about going into next year's draft because Giants fans are going to be clamoring for a number one wide receiver if Slayton is not that.
Yeah, and Michael's got me dying. He said, our general managers since Corsi are my least favorite Giants. I think a lot of Giants fans would agree with you on that. A lot of Giants fans don't like Reese, and a lot of Giants fans don't like Gettleman. So I think a lot of people would agree with you on that, Michael.
Yeah.
And Mark, man, thanks so much for love. He says, finally off work, I listened to the Bengal video and loved it. I think Graham will make a pass rush by committee work. Can't wait. Baker, huge X factor. Yeah, I had a great time having Bengal on the channel. And, hopefully, I know he's a busy guy. I know he's got a big channel over there. But I'd love to work with him again. He did a great job. It was just fun talking Giants with him. And maybe in season we could do something once every couple of weeks.
How was it? I mean, well, obviously you're saying it now, but how was it? I mean, I'm definitely interested to know about that.
Really nice guy, great guy off camera. We talked for about 15, 20 minutes off camera before we started. Really nice guy. Yeah, really knowledgeable. I've always liked Bengals channel. He's got the perfect voice. I say that all the time. He's got like that radio voice.
Yeah, he does.
And very knowledgeable. Really nice guy, and it was a lot of fun working with him. So I highly suggest anybody checking that out. You might not agree with everything we had to say, but it was fun just talking football with him.
Chris, I'll be back in 2 seconds. I got to step away.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Chris, what's our secondary going to rank? That's hard for me to answer. I hope in the top half of the league. They're still very young. And I don't even know if DeAndre Baker's going to be playing with the team yet. So it's impossible for me to answer that until I know who the second cornerback is going to be. But if Baker's here, there's no reason to think they can't at least be an average secondary, if not slightly above average, with a nice future with all the young talent they got back there. Prison Mike, thank you so much for the $2 donation. He says, KD is underrated, best pure shooter and rim defender. I mean, is KD underrated? I mean, I think Kevin Durant's one of the top 20 players ever. Now, the thing that hurts his legacy is obviously the fact that he went and joined a ready-made champion. Like, it was ridiculous. He had them. It was going to game set. He had them up 3-1. I think they were up 3-1, and he went and folded and joined the Warriors after that. So that certainly hurt his legacy. But Kevin Durant, to me, is one of the 20 greatest players who ever lived. Who will be the most improved quarterback of the 2019 draft class? Last year's draft class, obviously.
I think Haskins, because he has the lowest ceiling to me right now.
The thing I worry about with Haskins, they didn't really improve that offensive line. Very
true.
In terms of most improved, I mean, it's going to be hard for Daniel Jones to be the most improved. The guy, obviously he could focus on fixing the turnover problems, the fumbles, everything else. And if he does that would go a long way towards making him the most improved. But I'll go with Drew Lock, and I know everybody wants me to say Daniel Jones. Drew Lock only played 5 games last year. He went 4-1. Denver added a really nice weapon with Jerry Jeudy. I'll go with Drew Lock.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, I think Drew Lock can have a really good year. If I had to pick one guy from last year's draft class to be the most improved, I will go with Drew Lock. And Gordon, man, thanks so much for that, man. I appreciate it. He says, OGR, what do you think about Ingram at wide receiver? Tana, if you could make a trade, who would you get and who would you give? All right, I'll let you answer the first question about Ingram.
Ingram at wide receiver, I mean, it's certainly possible. He definitely fit what we could do outside. But the whole thing with Evan Ingram is his health. I mean, you can move him to wide receiver, you can move him to tight end. If you can't stay healthy, what's the point? That's the biggest thing with Evan Ingram, staying healthy.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I don't think he'll ever be a full-time wide receiver. He doesn't have the route running ability. If he did, he would have been a wide receiver from the start with his speed and height. In terms of let me take this off the charger so it's easy for me to read it. His second part of the question, Tana, if you could make a trade, who would you get and who would you give? All right, okay. People ask me trades all the time. The only players on this team that are tradable, because, yeah, of course I would trade Nate Solder, but you're not getting anything for Nate Solder. So you have to trade something of value. There's only 2 players on this team that have any value, in my opinion, when you factor in the fact that they're still on pretty cost-effective contracts, they're still relatively young, and they have talent. And I say that saying that we're not trading guys like Saquon Barkley. We're not trading Daniel Jones. We're not trading guys on their rookie deals. We're either trading guys that are coming up on their second contract. That's what we're looking to do, and with some talent that teams want to bring in. So to me, it's either Evan Ingram or Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson plays a position where we're deep. We have a lot of players that play that position that are younger, guys like Lawrence, guys like BJ Hill. So to me, it's either Dalvin Tomlinson or Ingram. And right now, Dalvin Tomlinson's probably more realistic due to the fact that Evan Ingram's still coming off an injury and teams probably want to make sure that he's healthy. But I would say either one of those 2 players is who I'd be looking to trade this year if I was trading somebody at the deadline and I was looking to be a seller. In terms of getting, I mean, I'm not going to be able to give you a player off the top of my head, but if the Giants were looking to acquire somebody via trade, it's got to be on the defense, whether it's an edge rusher or whether maybe it's a lockdown cornerback if they decide to move on from DeAndre Baker. I think that's what you'd be looking at.
I appreciate that, Bigger Mike. You've been spamming that constantly, and I do appreciate that. You don't have to, but you did. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and yeah, please go over there and check out OGR. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for being here, front row view, man. I appreciate it. Let's see what we got here. Chris, listen, we can make it to the playoffs. We can just beat the Cowboys, Eagles, and Redskins 2 times. Yeah, of course. If we go 4-2 in the division and we sweep the Redskins and we split with the Cowboys and Eagles, we could make the playoffs because you got to factor in that the Cowboys and Eagles play a really tough out of division schedule as well. If the Giants go 4-2 in the division, 8 wins could very well win this division because I think the Eagles and Cowboys are kind of banking on the fact that they're probably going to sweep the Giants and the Redskins. And if that were to not happen, those teams may end up going like 8-8. So yeah, if we went 4-2 in the division, we'd have a shot.
You have no idea how bad I want to beat the Eagles. I would love nothing more. If the Giants only win 2 games all season, which obviously I don't want to happen, I would just love to sweep the Eagles. That would have completed for me. I just want to sweep the Eagles. I just want to see Eagles fans' faces watching Big Blue win. Like it just because the way they talk about it now. Oh, what have you guys done against us in the last 5 years? It's like, oh, it irritates the hell out of me.
I saw somebody asking a question. I want to make sure I try to get to different people. Joshua says, how comfortable are you with Patrick Graham coaching the defense after the trading away Minka Fitzpatrick last year? I mean, at the end of the day, I personally think that the Dolphins were looking to rebuild, and they probably didn't see Fitzpatrick as part of the future, which I am actually surprised. And that's not up to Patrick Graham. And the fiasco you're talking about, I'm not 100% sure. I know that they traded him. I think it was before the season started, if I'm not mistaken. Was that before the season started, OGR?
Actually, no, I think it might have been an in-season move. But
maybe it was like week 2. It was very early. It was very early. But he's a player that I think would fit Graham's system very well. He's very versatile, could play the cornerback and safety position. Listen, if there is one guy that I still am, I guess, skeptical of and want to wait and see how it plays out, it's Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham is still underdeveloped. He has a limited track record, but the one thing I'll say, we got to be fair to the guy. The guy had no talent whatsoever with the Miami Dolphins. You got to wait and see how it plays out. I like his defensive philosophy. He definitely fits what Joe Judge is trying to do, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But what happened with Fitzpatrick? No, that has no impact on how I think he could do with the New York Giants.
MH, I'll answer that question real quick because I'm a little bit more familiar with StreamYard. Yes, Chris can't highlight the comment in StreamYard, but StreamYard doesn't keep up with the comments as quickly. So Chris is better off watching his own stream actually and commenting that way, which I'm assuming you're doing or going through your cell phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing because I noticed that on the StreamYard, it's like a minute and a half behind, 2 minutes behind sometimes. So I'm just looking at the chat off of YouTube, not off of StreamYard. And I see that it's lagging a little bit on my end. Can't do anything about that, guys. I apologize. But thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. All right, NFL DNA is asking you, can Jones win the MVP, OGR?
Do you know what you're asking? That's my first reply. Do you know what you're asking? Because for Jones to win the MVP, he's going to need to have at least 40 touchdowns, well over 4,000 yards, and show a noticeable improvement. And the Giants would probably have to be a playoff team. If you think Jones can do that, then yes, Jones can be MVP. But in my world, I'm more realistic. I get being optimistic as a Giants fan, but no, I do not think Jones can be MVP.
And I'm going to answer that.
At this juncture in his career. Later in his career, possibly. But right now, let the kid develop into the quarterback we might think he can be before we actually, let him develop into a franchise quarterback first before we start talking MVP.
Just want to say hello to a lot of people in here. Lamel Sinclair, Card Coach, thank you for being here. MY Giants for Life. Aaron Flynn, thank you for being here. Bigger Mike says, Joe, no. Yeah, I'll feed off of what you just said. There's no way in hell he's winning the MVP. And I know Giants fans will get upset about that. That's just being realistic. I hope so. But if there's a Giant that's going to win MVP on this team, it's not Daniel Jones. It's Saquon Barkley. I think the offense is going to revolve around Saquon Barkley, being that Daniel Jones has to learn a new offense. They're going to feed Barkley the ball early and often, and I think he's going to lead the league in scrimmage yards. And if the Giants make the playoffs, which is the only way any Giant would win the MVP, I think Saquon Barkley is by far the front runner for a New York Giant to be in contention to win the MVP this year. Not Daniel Jones.
And says that he's actually increased it. Chris, OGR, pick the next 4 jersey you'd get.
Next 4?
Next 4.
All right.
If I don't have a Daniel Jones, I'd get a Daniel Jones. I'd get an Andrew Thomas. I love O'Shane Ximenez, so I'd get an O'Shane Ximenez. And then I'll get a weird one that nobody would expect me to get, Shane Lemieux.
I will go... I already have the only 2 players I have on this current team are the 2 most popular, Jones and Barkley. I'd probably go with a McKinney. I would definitely go with a Darius Slayton. That's 2. I would go with an Andrew Thomas. I'm all about the Hogs. That's 3. And I want to go with a guy that I know is going to be on the team, or at least thinks going to be on the team long term. So that's kind of hard for the 4th one because I don't believe in Evan Ingram probably being here for more than a couple more years. I don't know with Peppers yet. That 4th one is hard. I think I'd wait another year to see who they draft next year, and that would probably be my 4th jersey. But if I had to pick someone, I guess I would.
Go with the Hog Mollies. You're always safe with the Hogs. You're always safe.
Yeah, I'll go with a pair.
Go with Hernandez.
I'll go with Hernandez. And Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate it. He says all he needs to do is lead the league in touchdowns. Easy. Oh yeah, that's easy. Yeah,
totally easy. He has no competition whatsoever. There's nobody in KC named Patrick Mahomes now.
Al says Shepard jersey. Yeah, I mean, I love Shepard. One of my favorite players on this team. Tough wide receiver, gritty wide receiver. I don't know if he's going to be in the league for more than a couple more years. If I'm being realistic, the guy's had a number of concussions. I hope that's not the case. I love Shepard. He's one of my favorite players on this team, but I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the league, OGR.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, this could be his last year. If he has the amount of concussions he did last year, this could be his last year, because at that point you're really risking, by jogging him out there, the Giants are risking his life, the rest of his life, because don't forget, every time you get a concussion, the next one's that much easier to get because your brain can only take so many shots.
Right. And it only gets worse. And King, man, thanks so much for love. He says, I'm heading out, guys. Great stream. I'll watch the rest during work Tuesday. Yeah, we're going to go. What time is it now? 10:10. I usually go to about 11:20 or so. So we'll be on for about another hour, guys, if OGR is okay with that.
I'm okay with that, but I wasn't expecting it. So, yeah, let's do it.
But thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it, man. Have a great night. And but thank you to everybody for being here. If you guys haven't done so, please go into the well, it's not in the link in the description, but they've been posting that link all day. Please post OGR's channel there so people can check it out and subscribe. Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I hear you. That's why I wanted a wide receiver, but he is he's one of my favorite players on this team. Sterling Shepard. Don't get it twisted. Love him. I love Sterling Shepard.
Someone asked, what does OGR stand for? OGR stands for One Giant Rebuttal. I think somebody else answered it, but I'll tell you anyways.
Bavith, what's going on, Bavith, man? One of my besties says, what's up, fellas? I think the coach that is going under the radar, and by my favorite hire, is the Alabama running coach. Hopefully he teaches Barkley to be a straight runner and quit dancing. Yeah, he's one of my favorite. Burton Burns, one of my favorite coaches that the New York Giants brought in. You look at some of the successful running backs that have learned under him, and you look at what the former running backs have said about him as a coach. Mark Ingram, most notably. Yeah, I think he's one of the coaches. Not if you're not talking coordinators, one of the lower coaches that I am most excited about. I like Burton Burns a lot.
Hey, he was my answer last night in the roundtable when somebody asked that last night. Which coaches are you most excited about, or which coaches do you think have the most impact? And mine was Coach Chaos, Sean Spence, and Burton Burns.
Yeah, I see. St. Nicholas asked the question. He says, should the G-men try to work a deal out for Jamal Adams? It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, and why not just let the guys that we have on the roster develop and see what they can do?
Yeah,
how do you know Xavier McKinney can't be the next Jamal Adams?
Yeah, and we're relatively strong at that position to begin with. And the Jets, first off, I shouldn't say that. The Jets did trade with us, but I don't think they would trade a player like Jamal Adams to the New York Giants. They traded Leonard Williams because they didn't like Leonard Williams. They knew the fans would be happy that they got rid of him. So I don't think that they would ever trade a player like that to the New York Giants.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we got here. We need a cornerback. We'll see what happens with DeAndre Baker, but yeah, if he's not back, we probably will need a cornerback. Entertainer, will you throw your headphones in frustration ever again? Hopefully not. I've tried to calm down a bit. I can't guarantee that if I'm live streaming a Giants game and something stupid happens, but hopefully not, MH. I try to be calm, cool, and collected on this channel now, but I can never guarantee that I won't.
As a Giants fan, I can promise you, if it's not next year, it's the year after, or whatever, you're chucking your headphones again.
Chris, how would you feel if we traded a second-round pick for Denzel Ward? I mean, Denzel Ward.
No,
he's been injury prone, right? He's a talented corner, but he's injury prone. I don't know. I at the end of the day, I just want to go with what we got. I don't want to be trading any picks. I want to keep our picks. I want to continue to draft, build this team up from the ground up, get guys on cost-effective contracts. I know Ward's going to be entering what now, his fourth year in the league? So he's almost done with his rookie contract. His third year in the league, right? Third year in the league. But I'm not looking to trade. I know a lot of people saying, well, what would you trade for this guy? I don't want to trade. We're not in a position yet to trade OGR. I want to continue to get young, build a team through the draft. And when we're ready, that's when you make your move in free agency.
I agree 100%. And Simon Z has been spamming this in chat, so I just want to answer it. Who do you think will have a better year, Bradbury or Peppers? Mine's Bradbury because he's been the more consistent player throughout his career. So
that's a great question. I mean, that's a really good question. I think Peppers fits this defense probably better, but I think Bradbury's definitely the safer pick. Bradbury's been a top 15, 20 corner in the league now for at least 3 or 4 years. You know what you're getting there. Peppers has a high upside, but he's yet to reach his full potential. I would say Peppers has a higher ceiling, but I agree with you. I would go with Bradbury as well as the safer pick.
It's the best pick.
Let's see what we got here. Has Shepard thought about changing his helmet? Cal says.
Probably, and I think he has actually. I could be mistaken on that one.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like I think, like we said earlier, if you're susceptible to getting concussions, unfortunately, you're probably going to get them again. And hopefully that's not the case with Shepard, but he's definitely had to overcome. He's definitely had an issue with that during his time, and he had an issue with that in high school and college as well. If you go back and look at the history, I remember reading an article on it. He had like double-digit concussions throughout high school and college, so it's definitely been a recurring theme with Sterling Shepard.
MH, question for OGR. Do you think Evan Ingram is the best backup tight end the next 3 years? Did that say?
Who? He's not a backup tight end. So I don't,
exactly. I don't get that question. Rephrase that one there, buddy.
Since Barkley had an injury season last year, can't he win comeback player of the year? I suppose he could.
Definitely not. Like me, comeback player of the year. Sorry to talk over you, Chris.
No, go ahead.
But definitely not. Somebody like an Alex Smith has a better chance of being comeback player of the year than Saquon Barkley. Like you have to go down with the season-ending injury and then come back and be just as good as you were, if not better, before the injury.
Yeah. Some guys that come to mind that could win it: Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. Maybe Rivers in a better situation. Cam Newton. Those are some guys off the top of my head. I don't think Saquon Barkley still had over 1,000 yards. He wasn't Barkley of his rookie year, but he still had a decent season for the New York Giants, even with the injury. He's not winning comeback player of the year. If he put up good enough stats to win comeback player of the year, he's going to be in the MVP discussion.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Do you think Barry can be a Bradbury? You mean Xavier McKinney could be a top 10 corner this year? Maybe. I think he could definitely be a fringe top 10 corner. I don't think he's as good as Janoris Jenkins was when we first brought him in, but I definitely think he could be a fringe top 10 corner and definitely a very valuable asset for the New York.
All right. I'll ask you a quick question. Okay. So how good do you think Bradbury can be? So do you think he'll match what Janoris Jenkins did last year or be better than what Janoris Jenkins is?
Oh,
if you don't think he's going to be 2016 Janoris Jenkins, where in that spectrum do you see him?
I think he's definitely better than 2019 Janoris Jenkins. But 2016 Janoris Jenkins was probably one of the top 3 or 4 corners in the league. He was that good. But he hasn't been that ever since. So I think he'll be better than Jenkins was his last 3 years with the Giants, but not quite as good as 2016 Janoris Jenkins.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Are you high on Austin Mack?
You know what? I'm gonna say no, not to say do a hot take, only because I think both of us see higher upside in Benjamin Victor. Not to say Austin Mack can't do anything, because he just does have the dog in him, like you said.
Yeah. I'm not super high on him either. I mean, I'm not super high on any of these undrafted guys. They're always the flavor of the month. Everybody wants them to be the next superstar, and hopefully they are. I think Austin Mack definitely has a chance to make the team. Do I think he's going to be a guy that gets 700-800 yards this year? Probably not. One guy that nobody's talking about that's an undrafted guy from last year. How about Sills? Nobody's talking about him.
West Virginia product.
Why can't he? This guy's at least had a year under his belt playing for the New York Giants. I think he has just as good of an opportunity as anybody of these newly acquired undrafted free agents to make this New York Giants team.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely has a shot. I love me some West Virginia prospects. Really quickly, MH, I love cannolis. Cannolis are my favorite dessert. There you go.
And will McKinney make Peppers better, and will he outshine Peppers? James Bruno asks. Go ahead. You go.
Maybe.
To me, they're very similar. I'm gonna be intrigued to see how they utilize both of them. I think that you're going to see Peppers line up more in the middle. He's a little bit bigger. He's about 215 pounds. McKinney's, I think, 200. I think McKinney, if he does blitz, it'll be more off the edge. So I do think they'll be using a little bit, they'll be used differently. But no, I don't think either one outshines the other. I think they both fit this defense very well. I think they'll both play well if they stay healthy. Yeah, I just think they're different types of players that play the same position. I think they'll use McKinney a little bit more on the outside than they would a guy like Peppers. I think Peppers will be more in the box.
I'll say this. I think McKinney at this point is a better prospect than what Jabril Pepper was coming out of Michigan.
I agree with that.
And if that helps anybody, somebody asked where I'm from. CT, Connecticut.
Do you think Baker has a chance to be comeback player of the year?
Who?
DeAndre Baker. I'm going to say no.
No.
And maybe he does get a chance to start day one. My guess is, and I could be wrong, and I'm not even saying that I agree with this. I'm just going off of prior history in the NFL. Usually when there's any kind of drama, there's usually a suspension. And maybe that won't be the case, and I hope it's not if he's ruled innocent, but we'll see. But if he's suspended at all, he's not winning any comeback player of the year. But I suppose but at the end of the day, what is he coming back from? He was a bad rookie. It's not like to come back. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. If you're coming back, that means you were good prior. He's never been good. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right title. It should be maybe breakout player there. But I do think DeAndre Baker could be good for the New York Giants. I think he fits this defense better. But I don't know if he's going to get to play a full 16-game slate, even if he's ruled not guilty.
Patrick, I'm not going to give you the exact town, but right outside Hartford.
Go ahead.
What was I going to say? Somebody had a quick question. I was going to point out something too. Oh yeah, and then again, going back to what we were saying before, comeback player of the year is somebody who's missed the entirety of the year before, and not to mention this: if Baker's proven innocent, that means he really didn't do anything. So why would he be suspended? I think Roger Goodell would be wearing egg on his face if he suspends a player that's innocent.
I agree with you, but he did it with Ezekiel Elliott, didn't he?
Yeah, but the NFL did their separate investigation. Has the NFL announced they've done an investigation on DeAndre Baker?
No.
Because the NFL said they were doing a separate investigation, and they found evidence that they felt was suspending worthy, even though it really wasn't. Don't know if I really phrased that right there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the case. I hope he's not at all. What do you think about the inside linebacker position? Ryan Conley played real good last year, even though he only played a couple of games. Copizzle says, what is OGR drinking? As far as the inside linebacker position, I mean, I think we don't know what we got yet with Ryan Conley. I know people get excited. It was only 3 games. I think he's got potential. But I got to see a lot more. I'm definitely not sold on the fact that I think he's definitely going to be the starting middle linebacker for the next 5 years for the New York Giants. But I think he's definitely, I think we'll get an opportunity if he's healthy. I don't believe fully in Mayo, but I think it's going to be a positionless defense, like I've said all along. I think there's going to be a lot of times where you have an extra DB on the field and you're playing a guy like Peppers at that linebacker position, and you got Darnay Holmes and Love both on the field at the same time. So I don't think it's going to be – we have to think of this as a positionless defense. So even if he is the quote-unquote starting middle linebacker alongside Blake Martinez, I don't think he's going to be out there for an immense amount of plays. Let's put it that way. Maybe he's out there for 50% of the snaps.
I agree with that. And then somebody else asked, when do you think Matt Pert will start OGR? But I want you to answer this too. I'd say 2 years.
I will say 2021. I don't think it'll be this year, especially when you factor in the fact that even if you take away Nate Solder, you still got Cam Fleming. But Fleming's on a 1-year deal. I think they're going to cut Solder after this year. It's possible that Parrott could be the backup again in 2021, but I think he'll be starting by 2021. Oh,
and Pizzle, just take a slight shot. At least I tell people when I'm drinking. Just
and Afghanistan, man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for being in the stream, Afghanistan. He says he will start late season after injury. Well, that's possible if there's injuries, but obviously we're not hoping for that. Let's see what we got here. No, he's not playing center. Not Parrott. You're talking about Lemieux. Let's see what we got. Fleming's not going to start NFL DNA. It's gonna be Solder and Thomas. But I'm saying that Fleming would get an opportunity to start, in my opinion, before Parrott would, at least this year.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I probably shouldn't, and I'm probably gonna regret this. But everybody wants to know where in Connecticut, because I know we have a bunch of people that want to know in Plainville. Plainville, you happy now? Plainville.
There you go. There you go. Let's see what we got here. Hey, hi, OGR and Tana. What's going on, Chris Porzingis? Thank you for popping in. Oh, Dyer, man, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the $2 thumbs up. I appreciate that. One of my best. New York Mets, New York Giants says, I wear a lot of Giants jerseys from the mid-'90s through the mid-2000s. That old school mentality. Yeah, I'd like to get one of those throwback jerseys prior to the newer versions. I do like those. And if they ever do have a new jersey, I would like that old I would like that retro look. That's something that a lot of people ask me. I would like that old retro look. I think it looks sharp. Is Melo top 75 of all time? I'd have to think about that. Probably. Yeah, he's probably top 75. Oh, Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate it, man. Parrot, one start late in the year to get film to study. I mean, OGR, I'll say it depends on the circumstance. It depends. Are we competing for the playoffs? But I agree that if it's late in the year, OGR, and we're kind of out of it, kind of like Julian Love this year, why not get his feet wet and see what you got the last 3 or 4 weeks if you think he's ready?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. That's an easy question. That's probably the easiest question to answer all night.
Yeah, that's when I think we get a chance to start. When I say that Fleming would get the opportunity, it's more so earlier in the season. If the Giants were, say, 1-3, 2-4, and you're still somewhat trying to compete and keep your quarterback upright, you don't really want to be experimenting either on your offensive line. I think they would start Fleming. But if it's later in the year, 2-3 weeks to go, I do think that they would give Parrott a shot for sure if they're out of it. And Kyle, man, thanks so much for love, man. He says, really excited and curious to see a healthy Saquon and Daniel for the first time because we never got that last season. Really curious to see our moves work. It's a great point he brings up. That is something that we did not get to see at all last year for the most part. We got to see it maybe at the very tail end, but Barkley wasn't himself pretty much for the entirety of the year with Daniel Jones at quarterback.
Yeah, he wasn't himself, and everybody knows how high I am on Saquon. I just really want him to get back to what he was his rookie year, and I think he can go past what he did in his rookie year.
OGR, man. OGR with the $5 donation. He says, who's that guy next to you? LOL, Jake is I take my money. OGR, man, thank you so much. OGR's the man. If you guys have not done so, going over to OGR and go subscribe to his channel. Love OGR, really good guy. Thank you for coming on the channel. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I think it makes the Q&As more fun, and even
Absolutely. And you probably are able to get through a lot more Q&As, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you get to answer more questions. Well, I don't know if you get to answer more questions because there's a back and forth, but you get to have two different perspectives. So I think it's better content. Should the Giants draft Devontae Smith if the Giants don't get Chase? Listen, I have not done near enough research on the 2021 draft. I'm not gonna be able to answer that right now. I've not even looked into it, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, by the way, I am a dad, so that's why I have dad jokes.
Chris and OGR, any new captains this year? You think Jones does get it this season?
I think he does.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was talking about that in my Discord, and for the first thing I asked, could they do it with both Barkley and the quarterback? But obviously they can. They did it with Eli Manning last year and Barkley. So yeah, I see no reason why Daniel Jones won't get the captain. My guess is Solder will stay the captain, even though he's not good. He's still the veteran of the offensive line. Barkley will stay as a captain. Jones will be a captain, taking over obviously Eli's spot. On the defense, assuming you have one captain per unit, right? Line, linebacker, and secondary. I would say on the line, you're probably.
I'm going to go with Delvin Tomlinson.
He's definitely the longest tenured Giant on the line, so maybe him. Could be Leonard Williams. In the linebacking core, I think it's Blake Martinez, probably, if I had to guess. In the secondary, I think I'd go with Bradbury.
Either Bradbury or maybe Jabril Peppers, because at that point he'd be, I think, the longest tenured Giant in the secondary. I could be wrong on that, though. There are some guys that backup that have been here longer, though.
Yeah. Meat says, you guys owe any channels shout-outs? I don't know what you mean. I try to shout out as many channels as I can, but throw out a channel name, whatever. Do you think Saquon will become a more strategic running back under Jason Garrett instead of being a constant home run hitter? I don't think it has anything to do with Jason Garrett if he changes his running style. Like we talked about earlier, Burton Burns, if he's going to change his running style, I would think he would have more of an impact on that than a guy like Jason Garrett. But I don't know. At the end of the day, if you block for Saquon Barkley, he's going to do what he does best. Let him go out there and do what he does best. Don't have him think it too much. That's when you get hurt. That's when you don't perform as well as you could. You got to let Saquon do what Saquon does. That's what you drafted him for.
Exactly. And to me, Saquon Barkley is exactly like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was good throughout his career, but was Barry Sanders the most reliable guy to get you a yard, 2 yards, 3 yards? No. Barry Sanders, again, he'd get you a yard, 2, 3, 6, 5, 4, and then boom, you get a 60-yarder. And that's what made Barry Sanders great. It's at any moment you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's what he is. And you can't try to change that. Al, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate that. He says, Chris, any news on Golden? Is he still blue? As of now, technically, he's still blue. The New York Giants signed him to a tender. Now, that does not mean that he'll be a New York Giant. This happened in the past with a running back on the Patriots. I can't remember which player it was, but
Garrett Blunt, right?
It was LeGarrette Blunt. You're right. And basically what the rule is he will remain a Giant until July 22nd, but a team has the ability to offer more money. And if they do, he won't be a Giant. But I think it's for $5 or $5.5 million. They'd get him back on a 1-year deal, and we'll know in 59 days. It's May 23rd, July 22nd is the deadline. So if nobody offers him a deal by then, his only option is to play with the New York Giants.
What was I going to say? Somebody had something. Oh, somebody wanted to know what my thoughts are on ESPN. Good company to work for, bad company when you're watching him live. How about that one?
How would I want to try to answer somebody other? I'm trying to answer as many different people as I can. Let's see what we got here. Give us your take on Darius Slayton this year, his role and snaps given. Do you see him reaching 1,000 receiving yards? If he stays healthy, yes. I don't think he's going to get a ton of targets. I don't think he's going to get like 140, 150 targets. I think they're going to spread the ball around, but I think he fits this offense perfectly. I think he's going to be the type of receiver that's going to have. You look at the Cowboys last year. They had 3 receivers in the top 20 in yards per catch because that's the type of offense that they run. They're going to throw the football down the field, and I think they'll be looking for Darius Slayton deep down the field, and I think he'll make the most out of his opportunities. And I do think he'll exceed 1,000 yards or right around there. I think he'll have about 60 catches for just over 1,000 yards, maybe close to 1,100 and 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a really good year.
I'm actually going to say he's going to be just under 1,000. I'm going to say 950 and similar amount of touchdowns that he had last year.
Okay. Yeah. I think anywhere between 950 and 1,100 yards, I think is a fair estimate for Darius Slayton this year. I think he's going to have a good year for the Giants. And Mark, man, thanks so much for love. I appreciate it. He says, Blake will have a monster year. We have a top 5 interior defensive line. Pack had a horrific interior line and still led the league in tackles. Now he has more free lanes. It's a great point he brings up. Obviously, he's playing now behind a really strong interior defensive line. The Packers last year were known more to have the strong, outside rushers. Obviously, with Preston and Zadarius Smith, they kind of struggled on the interior. The teams ran all over them. And yeah, obviously with a strong interior defensive line, it should only help Blake Martinez in that department. Yeah, it's a good point he brings up for sure. And I think they will be more aggressive with Martinez as well. I'm looking forward to Martinez. I think he can do a good job for the Giants. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, OGR, but I think he'll do a solid job for the Giants.
And that's what I think a lot of Giants fans want. They want a lot of Giants fans. We're extremely prideful, and we really want the best of the best. And the fact of the matter is, you're never going to have the best of the best at every position on your team. And I think a lot of Giants fans want that exciting middle linebacker, which we're used to back in the day. But for the most part, Blake Martinez, I think, will be solid. And with a team with as many holes as that we had, I think it's the best we can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. And somebody asked me about Tate Crowder a bunch of times, NFL DNA. Tate Crowder to me is a special teams player this year. Don't expect him to have a role in this defense. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's depth, but you never know. Maybe somebody gets it. We didn't think David Mayo was going to have much of a role last year. He got an opportunity. He made the most out of it. So we'll wait and see what happens, but I'm not going to bank on that, OGR. I don't think Tate Crowder is going to have much of a role this year in terms of the defense.
Yeah, same here. And then somebody asked about Shane Lemieux real quick. Shane Lemieux, do I see him being center, right guard? You know what? I'm just going to have fun with this question because I don't think he's starting this year at center because I said Nick Gates. I'm going to say Shane Lemieux is going to be our starting right guard in 2 to 3 years.
I hope so. And I saw somebody say I'm deaf. Okay, Gainer Tainer. I'll try to stay away from my microphone. I apologize. And Jeremy with the $2 donation, he says, I could see the Giants sneaking into that wild card spot. It's possible. You want to go into the year optimistic. You want to be a fan. Absolutely. Go into there thinking it's football at the end of the day. A 5-6 win team can win 9 games if they get the right bounces. I don't blame anybody for thinking it's possible. It is possible. But I've never
7-9 could be in the playoffs, especially you think back to the Seahawks and that with Marshawn Lynch against the Saints. You could be a 7-9 team and win a playoff game and be at home.
Yeah. I'm never going to lie to you on my channel. I'm always going to give you my honest opinion. I'm telling you, I do not expect the playoffs. But at the end of the day, it's football. Anything could happen. And Mark with the $2 nation says, top 5 run defense of 2020. You heard it here first. They definitely could be. I mean, we got a really strong interior defensive line. We got a strong middle linebacker. I think we could be. Or close to it.
I think it's a little lofty. Little lofty. We'll go
little lofty. But I think they could be a very strong run defense. Little lofty.
I think that's probably the strength of defense will be stopping the run, which Dave Gettleman wanted. So
it should be with what we've invested in it. Let's see what we got here. Saquon has all the tools in front of him to have an epic year. He does. He does. If the
I'm gonna put myself out there a little bit. Here's my guilty pleasure. Before I go to bed at night, I watch Saquon highlights.
I think a lot of Giants fans do that. I think a lot of Giants fans do that. We just want to see more highlights of him in a New York Giants uniform. Thoughts on taking away the onside kick? Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard about that, OGR. I read the article on it. They're talking about it. It's nothing's official yet, but they're talking about potentially taking away the onside.
Are they going to do something like the XFL and or the other football league? I can't think. AFL or not AFL, but you know what I'm saying.
I tried to read up on it. And I tried to understand it as best as I could. Instead of an onside kick, it'll be something like a 4th and 15. Where they get a play to, I guess, try to convert on 4th and 15. I don't know if I gathered that properly when I read it, but that's what I thought.
As long as they're giving something to replace it, I'm fine with it. The onside kick's pretty dangerous. I mean, and guys can get blasted. At least with a 4th and 15, it's a little bit safer of a play. So yes, and thank you, Happy Huntsman. AAF was correct.
Yeah, and Yuri, and yeah, as far as I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's been recovering onside kicks. Look at the statistics in the NFL over the last couple of years. It's become nearly impossible to recover. So I don't blame him for trying something new to try to spice it up a bit. But I'd have to really understand exactly what they mean by that. But, you know, I'll do more research on that. But yeah, I read something about a 4th and 15. I didn't have enough time to really read up on it. Yuri with the $5 Nation. Which Belichick coaching tree will be successful? Flores or Joe Judge? Why can't both?
Yeah, I'm going to say both.
Yeah, why can't both? I mean, Flores last year did a great job. And if anything, I think it's encouraging for us as Giants fans to see that. And I did a video on this talking about, you know, prior coaches under Joe Judge and a lot of, not Joe Judge, rather Bill Belichick. And a lot of them have failed. And some of my subscribers have brought up a good point that maybe Bill Belichick kind of looks for coaches the way he does players, guys with that are good at a specific skill set, and they're not necessarily a great coach, but they're great at that one individual thing. Same thing with his players. But the one thing I'll say to that, you have to kind of look at the individual situations and the teams that these guys took over. A lot of them took over really bad situations, and they went to organizations that were not patient. Now, some of them were really bad, but some of them just went to, like Romeo Crennel went to a horrible situation. There was a number of others. But, you know, we got to wait and see. We got to be patient. We got to give Judge a couple of years. But I'm confident that Joe Judge, if we give him the opportunity and we continue to draft well, I think he'll do a pretty good job for the Giants.
I agree. Well, actually, not only that, I'm hoping too. I mean, he says all the right things, but for me, it's let's see what he has. I can't wait till our first game, honestly.
Yeah. And what's going on, Vance, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Subscribe to OGR last night after the live on Bad Dog. Glad I did. Thanks. You got it, Jay, man. Thank you for being such a great supporter of the channel.
And I appreciate the sub.
Who do you guys see as our third interior D lineman, Hill or Tomlinson? I'll let you start.
Third interior. Well, you're going to have Tomlinson, Dexter. I mean,
Well, no, you got Lawrence.
Yeah.
He's
Dexter Lawrence.
He's saying Lawrence and Williams are definite. Who's your third? Is it Hill or Tomlinson?
Tomlinson.
Yeah, for me, it's Tomlinson. Tomlinson's going to be the nose tackle. Hill will come in as a situational player. Maybe in the 4-3 alignment, he'll play the D tackle. Maybe at times you'll line him up on the edge on the 3-4. But I think you're starting three. The guys that'll get the most playing time will probably be those three. And I think Hill will be the fourth guy.
Chris, you froze.
I froze?
Yeah. Oh, no, you're unfreezing now.
Am I unfreezing now? Okay. If I'm unfreezing, that's good. Yeah, I see that I'm frozen on my end too. Yeah, this stupid camera. I know that happens. So you know what? Let me switch. 1 second, guys. Let me switch to my other camera. It's going to look funky right now, and you may just see the green, but it'll look a lot better. Or I could just, you know what? I'll just get rid of the camera. I'll get rid of the camera.
Do you want me to stop my camera too?
Yeah, let's do that. That way we don't got to worry about the freezing and all that. And what? Now my computer's acting up. Oh, man. Come on. Let me get rid of this. It's not even.
I'm just gonna upload my image, so I have something else.
Yeah, it's not letting me get rid of the camera, guys. So right now I'm frozen. I apologize. You can hear the voice.
Your mic's working, so you'll be fine.
My mic is working, but it's not letting me change the camera. So you're going to see my frozen face right now. So I apologize. I could exit out of the StreamYard, but that'll end the stream.
I know you don't want to end it early because of whatnot, but do you just want to talk to 11 then instead of going to 11:20?
Yeah, we'll go to 11. We'll go to 11. I can't. Maybe next time we just won't show our faces when I do this because whatever. People are here for the voice anyway. I know they like to see the face, but it's annoying when stuff like this happens. Dyer, man, thanks so much for love. I appreciate it. He says, it's way too early to predict, but what's your guys' gut feeling prediction for next season as far as our feeling prediction for next season as far as our record? I don't know if he's talking about 2021. I'm assuming he's talking about 2021
because we've mentioned our prediction a couple times. So this year 7-9. For 2021, I'll be conservative and go 9-7.
Yeah, I mean, I need to see how we draft. I need to see what we do in free agency. That's way too hard for me to tell. I have to see who is Gettleman still here? Do we have injuries? How does Daniel Jones progress? But if I'm being optimistic and Jones progresses this year, they don't have any huge injuries. The rookies that we drafted, Andrew Thomas plays well, things like that. We have another solid draft. Yeah, I think we can win 9 or 10 games the following year. But we have to see a lot of things this year before I'm willing to make that prediction. And I need to see the schedule.
Yes. Although assuming that whatever record we have is going to be, I think we're going to be right now third in the division. So I expect the Cowboys and Eagles have a slight better record if we go 7-9. If we play a third place schedule, we can kind of deduce who we're going to play in the AFC West. Or I think will it be the AFC West? I think it will be. Because we're playing. I might no. Actually, it is going to be the West. So we're going to play the West next year, and then we're going to play. We played the South last year. We played the Central. No, we're playing the West. So it'd be the NFC South would be our opponents, and I believe the AFC West.
Okay. And it looks like my camera finally dropped out. And there we go. That's good because that's what we were trying to do. So that's a good thing. So now I'm no longer frozen. But yeah. So what was I was just trying to I was seeing my camera. So yeah, I mean next year it can't be harder than this year in terms of the divisions we face because you can make an argument that we're facing the two toughest divisions in football this year between the AFC North and the NFC West. So we really
and we're playing the AFC West and the NFC South, if I have it correct. That's still pretty darn scary.
But you don't know. Tom Brady's going to be 44 next year. Drew Brees will probably be retired next year.
I hope. I want to see him retire. I love Drew Brees, don't get me wrong, but I want to see him retire.
So those teams may not look as scary in a year as they do now.
True.
Let's see what we got here. What happened to your camera? Justin, it kept frozen, so we took the camera down, and you'll hear our voices. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. That's what you're here for anyway.
Subscribe to me, by the way.
Well, there you go. You got a celebrity subscriber. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. What's going on, Bradley? Thanks for popping into the stream. Who will underperform this year on the Giants? I'll let you go there.
Well, since everybody's predicting Evan Ingram a lot of optimistic Giants fans are predicting Evan Ingram. I'm going to go Evan Ingram. I'm going to say you're going to have the same old for Evan Ingram.
Well, yeah. Here's what I'll say about Evan Ingram. If he plays, I think he'll do well. But, I mean, conventional wisdom will tell you he's probably going to get hurt. So, if people are going into the year thinking he's going to play 16 games, I agree with you on that. And I always hate this question because whenever somebody asks you this question and you give your honest answer, Giants fans are going to get on you because they're going to, nobody wants to hear that any of the players are going to disappoint. But if I had to pick somebody that would disappoint, maybe people are going in with way too lofty of expectations. I'm not going to say Daniel Jones, even though I think that's a possibility because I know people would kill me for that. And that's not a knock on Daniel Jones. It's the fact that he's learning a new offense and he's, all the factors. But anybody that I think thinks he's going to throw for 35 touchdowns and be a near MVP candidate, I think you're going to be disappointed. But I won't say him. I will say And I don't think this is going to happen. But if you're asking for a high-profile guy that I think could disappoint, I'll go with James Bradberry. And I don't think it's going to happen, but I will go with James Bradberry.
That's solid. That's yeah, I can see that.
Let's see what we got here. I think Slayton might not be as great as people. He might not be, Harrison Jolly. Chances of us beating Tampa on Monday Night Football. I've said, OGR, if there is one game where we're a huge underdog this year that I think we have the best chance to win, it's that one. When you look at the schedule, the Bucs play, I believe, in Vegas the week before. We have an extra 4 days rest. We play on Thursday night, Eagles, and then we're home. Bucs come in there. I do think there's a decent chance we could pull up that upset against the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Here's the thing with the Tampa Bay Bucs. They have a shitty defense still. Even after this year, I still think. I mean, it's their defense last year was better than it was the year before, but their defense is not great. And really, what impresses you as far as their offensive line goes? I think Brady's basically gone. He's upgraded his weapons with the Bucs. That's very clear. But I mean, did he go into a better situation with the offensive line with the Bucs? I don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna favor. I actually picked us to win that game in my yearly predictions because I wanted to pick an upset. And when I look at the games that are perceived to be our toughest games out of the division, that's one of the four: the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Niners, and them. I think that's the most winnable. And I actually think the Niners. I'm not picking it. The Niners are very good, but I do think that's a game maybe where we could surprise them and at least keep it close. I don't think we have any chance whatsoever in the Ravens or Seahawks game on the road. But I think the Bucs game is our best opportunity to really pull, I guess, what would be considered our shocker of the year when everything's factored in.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a strong sentiment.
Yeah, the dogs are barking. Yeah, you got it, Max Major, man. Besides wide receiver, you could argue we are better everywhere. You're talking about the Bucs? Well, we're better at running back. Tight end, I would give them a slight edge, but it's about even. Well, they have better pass rushers. Their pass rushers are way better than ours.
I think we're better on the defensive line.
Maybe as a whole, but in terms of pass rushers, they've got us.
Corner, we're better.
Yeah. The Bucs are overrated. People hear the name Tom Brady and they think automatically, they're going to win 12 or 13. I don't agree with that. I respect their coaching staff. I think Todd Bowles is a good defensive mind. I think Arians is a really good head coach, but I don't think Tom Brady, who's 43, automatically makes them a 12 or 13 win team. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Bucs are probably closer to a 10-6, 9-17 than a 11-5 or 12-4 or 13-3.
And what's going on, Formula Fitness? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Zoke Arter this year, will he be great? Bradley says. Listen, I'm giving you guys a preview of as to which player I'm going to hype this year. I think you've probably started to see it in some of my videos and my live streams when I talk about him. I think Lorenzo Carter is going to be the breakout giant this year. I think that people were 1 year early on him, and now I think a lot of Giants fans are down on him. I'm buying him low. I think Lorenzo Carter has a really good year for the Giants this year. I think he fits the defensive scheme almost perfectly. I'm buying in big time to Lorenzo Carter. I think he has a strong year for the Giants.
Maybe it's just so hopeful because I predict it's O'Shane Zimenez. I don't trust Lorenzo, but hey, I hope Tang is right.
Yeah, Chris Gonzalez, have a great night, man. I like both of them. I think Zimenez could have a really good year as well. What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Isaiah? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Well, Jeezy, Lorenzo Carter is not going to play strictly one position. He's going to move around. That's my opinion. I like Lorenzo Carter. I think he's going to move around in this defense.
I agree.
Let's see what we got here. They have suing their deal. No, they're a better team. The Bucs, in my opinion, are a better football team than us, guys. Interception leader for the New York Giants.
I got asked this on TSR. When me and TSR did the Big Blue breakdown. I said surprise Jabril Peppers. I threw a surprise out there.
Yeah, I can't say DeAndre Baker right now because we don't know if he's going to be playing every game. We don't know if he's going to be starting, so I can't say him. Peppers isn't a bad one. I'll go with Bradberry because I know he's gonna be out there all 16 games at the corner position. So I'll go with Bradbury, maybe 4 interceptions, something like that, 5 interceptions. I don't think we're going to have anybody with like 8, 9, 10 interceptions. So I'll go with Bradbury. I'll go chalk. What's up, Chip Kelly, man? Thanks for popping onto the stream, man. I appreciate it. But thoughts on Sam Beal? I'll let you start with that one.
Sam Beal?
Yeah.
To me, Sam Beal's got as far as if he wants to keep his job and not get cut, he's got the most to prove. So he's got to make the biggest jump. So I'm not saying he's got to start behind. He's got to be the next guy behind Bradbury or DeAndre Baker. Or better yet, give DeAndre Baker the most competition to stay on this team. Because I think he could easily be cut.
Yeah, I think Sam Beal makes the team. I don't think they have a lot of talent in terms of, on the outside at the cornerback position. So I think he makes the team. But, with Sam Beal, like we were saying with Evan Ingram, the guy's a walking injury. And the guy's never proven anything in the NFL yet. I'll believe it when I see it. I know he's got talent. I know everybody, was high on his talent. But until I see him produce on the football field, I can't buy into Sam Beal. I just can't. So he's got to stay healthy. Let's see what we got here. Thank you, Billy Sims. Appreciate it. I want the Giants to bring back the 2000 to 2011 home uniforms. I just want the Giants to win. I don't care what uniforms they wear.
Yep.
Is Corey Ballantyne going to get cut? The question. I would say no. Right now, I would say
if any corner is going to get cut, it's probably going to be what I didn't want to say Chan Gailey. Why am I saying Chan Gailey? What's his face there? Corner out of Penn State.
The slot corner.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Hey, stop making fun of my Penn State guy, Chris. Jeez.
Yeah, Haley.
Grant Haley, yep.
Yeah, he sucks. Let's see what we got here.
Antonio Hamilton, he's still on the team, right?
If he is, he was actually a good in special teams. Hamilton, he was good in special teams, but he sucked in terms of being on the field. But he was actually a special team specialist. I think he's still on the team. I could be wrong on that though.
You know what, Chris Leone? Who do we get in the draft next year? Pratt Freiermuth, tight end, Penn State. Check him out, Chris, when you get a chance.
I'll give him a look. Chris, thoughts on our special teams? I think there's no reason to think that the Giants won't have one of the better units in football and special teams. They did a great job last year on special teams outside of the kicker. But in terms of punting, Riley Dixon did a great job. They were great in punt coverage. They only add to that with a guy like Nate Ebner. They bring back Cody Core. You got obviously a great special teams mind now that you bring in with Joe Judge. I think the Giants are going to be disciplined. I think they'll be one of the better units when it comes to special teams.
Totally agree.
Yeah. But Hamilton's on the Chiefs now. Okay, so there you go. He's on the Chiefs now. Hamilton was better in the slot than Ballantyne, but not much. Yeah, I agree with that. He was better in the slot.
Everybody in the slot was a dumpster fire last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ballantyne was horrible in the slot. Ballantyne got cooked every time he was in there. Haley wasn't very good either, but yeah, he was slightly better. Ballantyne is, to me, with his speed, is a guy that projects more to be on the outside. And they tried him at the slot probably to see what he has going forward, but he's not ready. He's not ready to play that position right now. Let's see what we got here. Do you guys know who the Pats hired as their special teams coach? I do not.
No clue at all.
Yeah, I do not. But I'm sure he'll do good because Bill Belichick's very good at finding talent. Let's see what we got here. Betcher sucked. Betcher sucks, sports expert. But we're going to do this for about another 10 minutes, guys. I just want to say did you guys close the camera? Yes, we're naked, MH.
Yes, totally.
I'm worried about the Eagles' speed. Our cornerback will get smoked, and the Cowboys got dangerous weapons. I'm worried about the Cowboys matching up on defense. The way that CeeDee Lamb is their third receiver right now. That's scary. OGR.
Yeah, that's scary, and I would definitely say the Cowboys have a better receiving core than the Eagles because the whole question with the Eagles is, can their receiving core even stay healthy? The Cowboys more so Gallup and whatnot. Those guys can stay healthy.
The Cowboys might have the best receiving core in the league.
Best receiving core in the league? No, I think that goes to the Bucs actually.
But you could say the Bucs, but the Cowboys are at least in the discussion. That's how good the receiving.
Yeah, they definitely.
So that's going to be a tough matchup for the Giants. In terms of the Eagles, the matchup that I worry about with them is their interior defensive line.
Which is aging. Like, to me, with the Eagles, like, I definitely think they have the best all-around roster in the NFC as far as starting 22. But
NFC East, not the NFC.
No, sorry, NFC East. Thanks for correcting me. I think they have the best roster in the NFC East starting 22. But the biggest problem with the Eagles, again, is injury and depth. Can they stay healthy? If they can't stay healthy, they're as good as what they were last year, 9-7.
Yeah. Yeah, they bring over Hargraves, though. They got a really strong interior defensive line with Cox and him, so that'll be a challenge for the Giants, and they'll have to probably try to run it to the outside against the Eagles. That's definitely their strength. Cowboys, we'll see how they match up against their wide receivers. That will definitely be a challenge. The New York Football Giants have the X factor, Joe Judge. Hey, we all hope so. I hope Joe Judge is the coach for the next 20 years for this team.
No, same here.
Yeah,
and I hope that leads to multiple Super Bowls.
Chris, I know it's bad to wish injury on any player, but I really hope they get exposed for their lack of depth. Well, Simon, I'm going to be honest with you. I think they will. I don't think you need to wish injuries on them, but the Eagles have a lot of injury-prone players. And when people project their win total, they didn't do that last year. Nobody took into account that they have a lot of injury-prone players on that football team. Everybody said they're going to go 13-3, and I think they'll continue to have some injury-prone players on that football team. Now Rager was a nice pickup by them, I suppose, even though he wasn't the receiver I would have taken, but they get younger at that position. He's a nice pickup, but they lost a lot of depth in free agency. I think you hit it on the head, OGR. I think if they stay healthy, which in this game, when you have a team that's been susceptible to injuries recently, I think that's far-fetched, but if they stay healthy, the Eagles are probably the best team in the division, but they probably won't stay healthy.
No, definitely won't stay healthy. Not a single wideout on that team can stay healthy. I mean, look at what they were down to scraps last year. So, yeah. I mean, they're really hoping for a lot. And a lot of Eagles fans are brash and bold because of a Super Bowl run. And what have you done since then?
Yeah. Do you think Hurts will replace Wentz during the season? Only if he gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts ain't replacing Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, when he's on the field, is definitely one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Let's see what we got here. What kind of changes do you see the Cowboys offense with Jason Garrett replaced? Do they look more like the Packers? Well, their offensive coordinator is still going to be pass happy, I think. They still have the same offensive coordinator, so I think he'll be pass happy, obviously with the weapons that they have, which I actually think is a bad thing if you're a Cowboys fan. I think the way their team is constructed, they should be a run-first team. But I think they'll continue to be pass happy. I think they'll throw the ball a lot, the Dallas Cowboys, especially after adding CeeDee Lamb.
See, here's the problem. Everybody sings Julian Love's praises. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Julian Love can't be the corner. But Julian Love sucked in coverage last year too. The only reason everybody praises Julian Love is because he actually did a decent job at safety. He was not a good cover corner either. Like, don't get me wrong. That's the one thing I love. I want to see Julian Love develop, but I do not think he was good in coverage at all. Actually, everybody on the Giants last year was abysmal except for George Jenkins.
Yeah. And Lou, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I just see Jeezy. Who do you think is going to be the backup? I think it's Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, I think he's got to be the backup quarterback. He's the only guy with any experience.
Just to give you a different name. Actually, no, screw it. I can't. I can't.
I think it's got to be McCoy. Yeah, it's got to be. And LA Lou, man, thanks so much for that, man. He says, just popping in to say, hey, to some awesome guys that show some support. Had a busy day, so I wasn't able to participate, but I'll be here next time. Lou, man, thank you for all the love you always show my channel, man. Really appreciate it. The stream froze a little bit, so we got rid of the cameras. But, man, I appreciate you popping in. Appreciate you showing some love. Hope you are staying safe out there on the West Coast. And, yeah, I'm going to have a new guest on every Saturday. Any suggestions you guys have, always, shout them out in my videos, shout them out in the live streams. What guys you want to see try to come on. Obviously, within reason, EDP is not coming on the channel. The guy's got 2 million subscribers. But
is he at the 2 million already?
He's close. He's like 1.8, 1.7.
That is crazy to me. That is literally crazy to me that a non-monetized channel is popping like that.
Yeah, he's up there for sure, man. Let's see what we got here. I would Payback, man. What's going on, man? I definitely have Sim on the channel. I'll definitely reach out to him. You want the hands up face on the stream, y'all? It's frozen. Otherwise, I'd be on there. It's frozen. But next time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the crappy camera. That way, I think a lot of times when I use the better camera, I tried it out tonight, it freezes because it's not attached to the laptop. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So next time I'll use the crappy camera when I have a guest on. Let's see what we got here. And we're going to go for another 5 minutes, guys, and we're going to call it a night. But anybody that has not done so, please subscribe to OGR Sports. You did a great job coming on here, answering your guys' questions tonight. Obviously, really good Giants content creators, definitely going to give you a different perspective on things. So go over there and check them out.
I mean, I definitely do give a different perspective, but Chris, I have to say, shame on me. I did not disagree with you enough tonight. I need to practice that next time.
and Isaiah, man, I really appreciate that, man. He says, Chris, I've been watching you for a couple of months now, and I'm not leaving. Love your work ethic. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. I mean,
Chris is the hardest working Giants fan on YouTube, and I don't think anybody would say he is not the best Giants YouTuber on YouTube. And I'm not just saying that. That's the truth.
Well, that means the world to me, man. Thank you, OGR, for saying that, man. That's an ultimate compliment, especially when you get it from another content creator. So thank you very much, man. And I really appreciate that, man. That's the biggest compliment you could ever get, when people acknowledge how hard you work on YouTube and appreciate your content. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Vance Bill, man. Thank you very much. I love the Giants talk always, guys. I appreciate that, Cookie Monster. Thank you, Fabian. Let's see what we got here. Good night, Gabriel, man. You have a great night, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. Chris and Ben are one of the best Giant YouTube. I appreciate that, Raymond Sosa. Voice only worked out well. Enjoy Memorial Day all. Thank you very much. Enjoy Memorial Day. Have a great night, Isaiah. Giants versus Bears. You're talking to him. Chris shows the more. Yeah. Good night, Justin. Yeah, we're going to close this out. I appreciate that, Raymond Sosa. Thank you to everybody for being here. I think we're going to close it out now, man. It was an absolute blast. I just want to say, like I always say, thank you to all you guys, especially during the dead time in the sports world. You guys continue to show out, support my channel. You guys mean the world to me, man. You mean the world to my life. You mean the world to my channel. And without you guys, this channel isn't what it is. So I could never say thank you enough for watching my videos, tuning into my live stream, showing support, even when you think I'm saying something dumb. But that's what this channel is about. I'm going to give you my opinion. A lot of times you may not agree with it, but it's going to be my honest opinion. And, I'm always open to criticism and getting feedback from you guys. But I appreciate everybody for tuning into the stream, everybody showing so much support. And most importantly, I want to thank OGR for popping on tonight and hanging out with me for a few hours on a Saturday night. So thanks for popping on, man.
Not a problem. Anytime, man. Anytime you need to have somebody to fill in or be here, I appreciate it. I like working with you. I consider you a very good friend at this point, and I'd work with you anytime you ask.
Man, thank you so much. And once again, thank you to everybody for coming on here. If you guys have not done so, I'm going to say it one more time. Please subscribe to OGR Sports. I'm sure I'll have him back on at some point on the channel. I'm sure I'll probably pop on his at some point as well. So I know you're doing the judge. What is it? The court?
Yeah. So I'm going to do like OGR's courtroom, where I just bring guys on, do a quick interview type segment, ask the tough questions, LOL. And,
I'll definitely pop on there whenever you want me to. So definitely go over there and subscribe to him. And thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. And everybody stay safe and have a great night, guys.
Yeah. Stay safe, guys, and have a great night.